U.S. intelligence services and putting pressure on the incoming acting director of national intelligence, Bill Pulte.
I wouldn't mind. I've heard that's way too high for way too long. Yeah, I wouldn't mind. If he cut, I wouldn't mind that.
Markets ended the week down on concerns interest rates could go up again. That's despite a jobs report which found the economy added more than 170,000 positions last month. Justin Wolfers is with the University of Michigan Economics Department and says unemployment remains steady as well.
We're currently in what people are calling a low hire, low fire labor market. No one's losing their job. That's good news. But what that means is there's no new job openings for college graduates to go into. And so young folks right now are finding it a little harder than most.
And lawyers for President Trump making the argument before an appeals court today that the construction of the White House ballroom does not need approval from Congress. This is ABC News. Cars for Kids is allowed to continue airing its ads in California. A few weeks ago, a judge there ruled the ad had to stop airing because most of the money did not go to needy children. Instead, it's generally used to finance teen trips to Israel. An appellate court now has ruled that the ads can keep playing in the state, at least for now. ABC's Alex Stone has more.
Cars for Kids, they have said through all of this, they're going to fight it, that the money does go to help children that are in need. Cars for Kids saying that they applaud today's court ruling, allowing the ads to continue airing in California. Goes on to say Cars for Kids programs benefit a wide array of children and teenagers. The uninterrupted airing of the ads will enable the charity to continue funding its programs for children and families.
Police in Los Angeles are investigating the murder of longtime character actor James Handy, who was reportedly stabbed by his girlfriend's son outside their home on Wednesday. And Anthony Head has died, the British actor from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He was 72. I'm Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
Coming up, a big policy shift on World Cup surveillance cameras. That's after Lori at the real-time traffic desk.
Traffic is brought to you by D.R. Horton. Northbound 405 in Renton, you're going to see a slight slowdown, about an 11-minute delay into Bellevue. Southbound 405 slows through Bellevue in both directions of 405, pretty heavy from 522 to 527. Both directions of I-5 are really slow through Seattle, and southbound starts slowing about Northgate. Bellevue to Everett. Northbound 405, a 3-minute delay. Southbound 5, Linwood to Seattle is only going to take you 30 minutes. We're seeing a northbound 5 slow down past Joint Base Lewis McChord. And 167 heavy in both directions through Algona, and then southbound continues on into Puyallup. Looking for the best deal on a new home? Discover the D.R. Horton Home of the Week. Visit drhorton.com and schedule a tour today. D.R. Horton, America's builder and equal housing opportunity builder. I'm Lori, KIRO Real-Time Traffic.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon, I'm Aaron Granillo. In a shift from her earlier stance, Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson will allow stadium district cameras to be switched on during the FIFA World Cup. Wilson had previously refused to activate them, citing privacy concerns, telling the Seattle City Club just this week.
We're kind of balancing competing priorities here, right? Concerns around data security and potential abuse of data versus the utility of the cameras in solving crime.
She now says general but credible threats identified by police and the FBI changed her mind. Seattle's first World Cup match is June 15th. Seattle police say they have taken a teen's killer into custody. That suspect is just 13 years old. This was first reported as an accidental shooting on May 29th. Police then found a 17-year-old boy shot in the head at an apartment. He died 2 days later. The younger boy is being held on investigation of manslaughter. Plans for a new data center in downtown Seattle now fueling a debate over the possible environmental impacts. KIRO News Radio's Corwin Hake has more.
As the Seattle City Council mulls over the pros and cons of AI and the data centers that drive it, this public commenter, Jeff Sloan, offers a positive take.
It could allow us to advance our climate commitment in some pretty significant ways. The city's own top natural gas user is a steam plant heating Seattle Center. Did you know that data centers can make steam too?
Sloan's take is a minority view. The council has heard from many others who say data centers consume too much power and require endless amounts of scarce clean drinking water. The City Council could pass a one-year moratorium on new data centers June 16th. Corwin Hake, KIRO News Radio.
Big I-5 shutdown kicks off in Seattle over the Ship Canal Bridge tonight. KIRO 7 TV's Brooke Griffin has details.
Starts at 11:59 tonight, goes through 5 a.m. Monday morning. That includes the I-5 north on-ramps from westbound 90 and 520 bridges as well. The express lanes will be running northbound to allow people to bypass that closure. This weekend's project is so that crews can safely reopen all lanes of I-5 for the first time in 6 months. The construction is temporarily pausing from June 8th to July 10th to ease traffic during the World Cup matches. Project leaders say that this work needed to happen so that they can prevent bigger issues in the future.
And to your forecast now, June gloom has officially arrived. We will see scattered showers this afternoon, increasing as the night goes on. Tomorrow, widespread showers with some thunderstorms as well. Drier but cloudy on Sunday. Right now, looking at 57 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with the KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Well, good afternoon. Welcome to the John Curley Show. Tim Gatos, Greg Tomlin in for John today on this Friday, this beautiful day here in the Pacific Northwest. And yeah, it's Friday, but I tell you, we got a great show. I tell you, Greg, I mean, it is always a blast to be able to be here and do this with you. Thanks for doing this.
Likewise. Today I'm describing us as the talk radio guest host duo that presents a general but credible threat to the ratings book.
That is a... Man, I think two people got that, but we're about to tell them.
Exactly.
We're about to tell them why you're diving into this. But
thank you, Andrew.
We've got a lot to go over, a lot to get into. Got some great guests, but right out of the gate here, I think we all predicted this. Mayor Katie Wilson says, turn the cameras on.
Yeah.
Turn them on.
I think that was inevitable. It seemed like a no-brainer to me. And so when we got the word in the newsroom, there was an audible gasp, Tim, and you ran over and said, what's going on? What's going on? The CCTV is on.
Yeah.
Greenlit.
Yeah. I mean, has there ever been more conversation around CCTV cameras in the history of them?
I keep on getting CCTV mixed up with the Canadian comedy
SCTV.
troupe. SCTV.
Yeah,
So
Eugene Levy. Yeah, but I mean, this is interesting that it's this is a big conversation, right?
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of people are interested in this, and we're talking about privacy rights and all these things that are bound in this. And I understand the questions. I mean, this is something that when you talk about, our First Amendment rights and a lot of our rights as a Constitution, what we have. I mean, this is a big question. What do you think about this?
Oh, I've long held that this discussion is something that is ongoing forever in the United States of America. It's been going on for 250 years. Hopefully it'll go on another 250 years. But this notion of how do you balance security, privacy, and freedom. And it kind of tilts one way to the other.
That's
and
right.
you try to find that balance, but it's not ever one or the other.
Right, because you go back to 9/11, right? And some of the carte blanche considerations that we gave to the government back then with Homeland Security and the ways that some of our Constitution was trampled through that time, right?
Would you say infringed upon?
Infringed upon would be a right way to say it. It's interesting, Katie Wilson, you joke about the general to credible, but let's dive in on this because this is pretty fascinating. She says, earlier this week, I received an updated briefing from SPD and FBI on the current global and local threat environment. The breadth and depth of intelligence gathering that informed the briefing identified general but credible threats to safety and security during the games. So she's kind of using this as a way of saying, hey, you know what? It was kind of her way out of a jam, right? But now the question is, as she goes from there's general to credible, well, what are they now, right? What are these credible threats? I want to know.
Yeah, I don't even know if it matters as much as the main takeaway here is that the cameras are being turned on. And like I said, I think this is always going to be inevitable. We're 10 days away from Belgium and Egypt kicking off here.
But you're not worried about what the credible threat is?
Well, it's a massive international event. I think something like that. I don't know what constitutes a general but credible threat. It could be anything, basically. Is it a phone call? Is it a letter? Is it an email? I have no idea. What do you think, Joe?
I don't think there is any specific threat. I think this is political pressure,
exactly,
and just common sense. And so, nobody's going to deliver you a note that lays out their plans. You just have this is a smart thing to do.
And I'm a big proponent of cameras in highly trafficked public spaces, whether it be downtown, the stadium district or whatever, even on Aurora, high crime areas and things like that. But you got to balance that with, you don't want to tip the scales too far. And the movie scene that always comes into my head is in The Dark Knight, which I just watched with my 12-year-old the other night. And Bruce Wayne basically has like a layout of every single person's cell phone.
Right.
And that Morgan Freeman line of like, this is too much power for one man. Okay, that's the extreme. And so,
well, I mean, you know how it works. You give an inch, right?
Take a yard,
right? That's how things work, right? So we'll see how that plays out. I mean, very fascinating. Greg, I wanted to talk about this a little bit. What are your thoughts? Seattle's been in the news quite a bit. West Coast, Spencer Pratt down in L.A. running for mayor. He's making allusions to Seattle, how some of the homeless, quote unquote homeless, are going to, make their way up here to Seattle. Katie Wilson responded to this. Did you check this out when she responded to this?
I did, yes. And for those who don't know of Spencer Pratt, he has kind of made national headlines because he is running as a conservative. I wouldn't necessarily even call him that as far as his ideology, broadly speaking, but he's presenting a binary choice to the people of L.A., and one of the main things he's emphasizing is the homeless issue and what an abysmal failure it has been on by the city politicians down there of addressing it. And he's calling out, and he's making some comparisons to Seattle, understandably so, and basically saying they're going to ship some of the homeless population up here if he wins in November. Yeah, do you have the clip, actually?
What are your plans for the over 40,000 homeless in Los Angeles?
Yeah, they're not homeless. They're drug addicts. Most of these people are addicted to fentanyl and meth. When I unplug them and say, we're not taking our tax money anymore, they're all going to Seattle, where the mayor will welcome them. These are products to a lot of people. So the people that want to keep doing drugs and live on the sidewalk, a lot of these people are going to leave. The other ones, there's a lot of criminals. There's people that are getting naked in front of kids. They're going to jail. The people that are torturing animals, they're going to jail. So not everyone goes in the same box.
The thing that kind of gets me a little frustrated in this.
Is that a general but credible threat towards the city of Seattle from Spencer Pratt?
I just don't like these there's so many general comments that really frustrate me when it comes to this, right? Because here Spencer Pratt says, well, they're all drug addicts, right? We know that's not true, right? Because that's a very stereotypical comment. And in the same way that Katie Wilson, and we'll get to her response on this, because Katie, in her response to Spencer Pratt, says, well, we all know that, homelessness is just a housing issue. And that's off as well. Like, we make these very broad, extreme arguments that are in no way are they nuanced or accurate, because a lot of those people are on drugs 100%. We know the data shows that, but to say that they all are, or to say that, the homelessness issue is directly about housing, and we can get into that in 1 second, is not accurate. I don't know, Joe, if you can play this.
Well, I'm not going to respond to him, but I will respond to you all. I think it's very clear when we look at the data. What is driving homelessness is housing costs. There is a very, very clear correlation between housing costs and homelessness. And that does not mean that drugs are not a factor. They absolutely are a factor, right? Helping someone out of homeless is not as simple as putting a roof over their head.
This is the thing, Greg, that over many years has been very discouraging to watch this play out. Mm-hmm. And now Katie absolutely tripling, quadrupling down on this. There's really no sense of understanding root causes, which is very frustrating in this conversation, because just to say, well, yeah, Mayor Wilson, you are incorrect. You are incorrect. There's no conversation that I hear in Seattle, in King County right now, about what really is happening, I don't know if are you familiar with the ACE score?
Mm-mm.
Do you know that?
No, what's the ACE score?
So the ACE score, ACE stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences.
Okay.
And there is some pretty significant studies that were done 20, 30 years ago, Center for Disease and Control. And they found out, and they would give these ACE scores, and found out that homelessness in our country is directly tied to the ACE score. And I'll share what that is in a second. So they came up with a list of 10 things, and it is all directly related to childhood trauma, neglect, sexual abuse. So there's 10 things on the ACE score, and if you've reached X amount, right? If you're 7 or 8 of them, then you have your chances of homelessness skyrocket. So, for instance, physical abuse, sexual abuse, lack of love and support in the home, chronic or recurring hunger, loss of parent through divorce or abandonment, physical abuse, substance abuse in the home. So there's 10 things. So this study that was done, this is 89% of people who are homeless have had at least one on the ACE score. Okay, so they experience some level of childhood trauma. 53% have had 4 or more of those. So very significant trauma. Then you translate that to the general population. It goes only 38% of the general population has one of those. So 89% down to 38%, and then only 3% of the general population has had 4 or more of those. So all that to say, there's these root causes that we see that are happening that we don't even talk about. We don't address that there's issue. I mean, our friends who are out on the street have experienced significant loss of community,
right?
Loss of church community, loss of a religious community, loss of family. They've experienced childhood trauma, and yet all our politicians can say and do is like, well, they just need housing. It's like this is a significant issue that's not talked about.
Well, it's difficult because some of the issues you cite there as root causes come down to things like family structure, how well a family is doing, what kind of values are in the home, and things like that. From a governmental standpoint, that's more difficult to address than let's just build a bunch of shelters and barrack-style housing. So I think you're right to say that there's an oversimplification of this issue as well. I put sort of dueling philosophies at a head here. One is progressives time and again often emphasize that economic factors are the main drivers of homelessness in this region. You heard Katie Wilson in that soundbite we played just there emphasize that notion. Conservatives will often cite behavioral factors as being causal here. With Seattle as a city being deep blue in its politics, as well as the state of Washington being deep blue in its politics, we've now spent $1 billion a year on finding solutions that try to address the economic explanations rather than the destructive conduct explanations of this, right? And it's put us in a much worse place in terms of the homeless issue, even in just the last 5 years alone, right?
Right.
So I don't care. To me, this isn't like a left or right issue. It's time to try something different. Yeah. I don't care what side you're on here. I don't care who the person is that gets elected that has any kind of power in this regard. But how about we at least try to operate under the opposing premise for at least a time to see if that has a positive effect? Because what we've been doing has had the inverse effect. But the reason that this will never be tried is because it's uncomfortable to call out personal responsibility, and it's much easier to blame systems. It's much less personal that way, and it's kind of this big bad boogeyman and business and the economy, and it's so pricey out there.
Greg, we do have examples of things that are working in our city, and we don't act, and we overlook it. We have there's 2 in particular organizations who focus on the whole person, right? Because that's what we're talking about, right? We think it's just an economic issue. No, we're talking about the whole person, and how do we care for the whole person with friendship and community? Because that's a huge part of why so many people are homeless, right?
Personal lives out of control.
Yeah. So here's the example that we completely miss. Here's data from 2022. So King County Regional Housing Authority in 2022, they moved 115 people from homelessness to permanent housing, and it was $19,000 per person. Okay. Seattle's Union Gospel Mission, they moved 279 people from homelessness to permanent housing. It cost $6,000 person, so 19 to 6. Then the Salvation Army, okay, they moved 640 people from homelessness to permanent housing at a cost of $2,000 a person.
Seems like a bargain.
I mean, think about what we're doing, what our government is doing, as we all know, because we have eyes to see, is not working.
Well, and again, I mean, to tip over some of my philosophical and ideological cards here, it just seems to me that the more that government decides to get involved, it exacerbates the issue rather than seems to find a remedy or a cure for it. I want to go back to the Spencer Pratt thing for a moment.
Yeah.
Where he said he's basically, if elected, I'm going to ship homeless people up to Seattle.
By the way, he said they would go.
They would go up to Seattle. Okay, so they would be forced out of there
because they can't do, in his opinion, drugs and peace on the streets of LA.
They'd be attracted here.
Right. Exactly.
So right. Do you think, because he's primarily known for being a reality star, right? And he was kind of a jerk when he was a reality star, but he looks back upon that time and says, oh, that was just, I did that all for the cameras, and everybody knows reality TV is fake. Donald Trump was a reality TV star once upon a time. Do you think this phenomenon of reality TV stars making their way pretty deeply in politics is a fad or something that is here to stay? I think they're actually uniquely positioned in this time and place in 2026 to make a bit of a splash, politically speaking, nationwide, because I think their experience with reality TV and social media and garnering eyeballs and doing things that are tactical, not necessarily practical, make them kind of politically viable to the masses. Do you think I'm right to call that out, or do you think this is just another one-off, as Trump is a one-off on the scene in terms of his rise to political power?
Yeah, good question. I really don't know. I'm not into reality TV,
no,
so I don't.
Me neither.
You know, I'm not. I've never been like, following it, or
right.
It's Survivor Night or whatever it is. I haven't really watched it, but I would say, it's probably what he's putting out is digestible to the masses, right? So I mean, there's something about kind of the mainstream U.S. can digest certain things that he's putting out there.
Well, I think part of the appeal is, and some people see it as an individual speaking plainly and explicitly about what the issue is. People think it's bluster and bravado, but there is something that appeals to millions of people who think they've been gaslit over the past 5-10 years about what's happened right under their noses in their own cities with things like the drug problem. I mean, it should never be normalized that we just see a homeless guy taking off his pants and just let loose on the side of the road.
Right.
But you can see that. I've seen that at least twice in downtown Seattle.
Yeah.
And the fact that I've even become a little desensitized to it just because it's become more and more commonplace. Then a guy like Spencer Pratt comes along and it's like, are we insane here as a society? That's all you have to do is pose the question and you're in second place.
That's funny you say that about being gaslit. Marco Elias, one of our state senators, I actually messaged him after a video he did on Aurora Avenue yesterday. And he's like, we need to invest money because we don't have sidewalks, and that's the issue with Aurora. And I was like, dude, I just said it nicely. Why are you gaslighting us? Is that the issue on Aurora right now? Is
Definitely
that we
sidewalks.
don't have better sidewalks and we need more tax money to make the crosswalks better?
Greg Tomlin and Tim Gatos in on the John Curley Show. Lots more coming up on a busy Friday. But first, let's check in with Lori at the Real Time Traffic Desk.
Southbound I-5 just past State Route 18. Look out for a collision. It's in the right lane. 167 northbound, that off-ramp to 84th. A collision partly blocking the ramp. Westbound 90, the on-ramp from Island Crest Way. A collision in the left lane. And northbound 405 in Renton, that slowdown around the S-curves, a 14-minute slowdown. Southbound I-5 into Seattle slows from Northgate, costing you about 6 minutes. Bellevue to Everett, 405 northbound, a 3-minute delay. And we are seeing a pretty heavy drive past 522 on US 2 in Monroe. I'm Lori, KIRO Real-Time Traffic.
KIRO News Radio, winner of 7 regional Edward R. Murrow Awards, including overall excellence and investigative reporting.
Just 29 hours later, Joshua Headley sent an unsolicited email to me writing, "I understand there may be a news story coming out."
Thank you who listen, stream, and watch every day. The driving force that pushes us to be the Northwest trusted news source. KIRO News Radio, 97.3 FM.
You know how some parts of the house don't work? Let me explain. There's that closet that you've got that when you open it up, everything falls out. Or you try to find something, you can't because it's not working. There's too much stuff in there. And how about the garage? I know some people that can't park their car in the garage because there's everything else parked in the garage. You see what I'm saying? There might be some other parts of the house where it's just packed and there's no place to store anything. So maybe you've even gone to renting one of those storage units. Well, that adds up every single month. You can't even remember what's in there. So a better investment to get parts of those house working would be Closets by Design. The consultant comes to your house. They look at the problem. They know that each one of these problems that need to be solved have to be customized. But you don't get a big customized price. You're going to get 40% off plus an additional 15% off in 18 months, 0% financing on approved credit when paid in full. I really became a believer in Closets by Design when they came out to the barn in Cle Elum. You should see the work that they did. My goodness. 1-800-BY-DESIGN. That's 1-800-BY-DESIGN. That's closetsbydesign.com.
Hey, it's Jason Rantz. If your air conditioner is barely hanging on, CM Heating has one of the best offers I've heard this summer. Right now, you can get any size high-efficiency AC system for just $179.99 a month with zero upfront cost. And here's the game changer. CM Heating's Comfort as a Service program includes lifetime repairs, annual maintenance, and even filters at no additional charge ever. Go to cmheating.com and schedule your free estimate online today.
License number CMHEAHL 751LW.
The sun is shining. It's a beautiful day for baseball.
At T-Mobile Park, you've always got the best seat in the house. Case in point, your ticket might be for the view level, but it's more like Skyline City. Up here, it's hard to say what'll take your breath away first. The gorgeous Seattle sunsets or the spectacular views of every incredible play. If you like value with a view, it's the perfect place to take quality time with the family to a whole new level. Literally.
A bases clearing, 3-run double. Everybody on their feet here at T-Mobile Park.
Mariners baseball. Trident's up.
Don't miss out on Mariners fireworks nights all summer long. Presented by T-Mobile. The next show is coming up on Friday, June 19th, as the Mariners take on the Red Sox. Go to mariners.com/fireworks to get your tickets and check out this year's complete lineup, including themes like Patriotic, Sing Along, 50 Seasons, and more.
I just can't dig it.
Dig what?
My water line.
Needs replacing?
And I don't want digging in my yard.
And maybe your driveway.
Can't dig it.
Don't dig it.
But how do you?
Apollo Plumbing replaces water lines without digging up your yard.
You're Dan.
From the Ready Right Now plumbers.
Apollo Plumbing.
Our trenchless technology replaces water and sewer lines.
Without digging up my yard?
2 little holes is all it takes.
Sounds better.
Faster, too.
And my yard?
Like we were never there.
Sounds spendy.
Not so much.
Oh?
In the end, about the same as that messy digging you don't want.
How do you figure?
Think about that landscaping you love.
Yeah?
Trenchless means you won't be paying to replace it.
Or my driveway.
We run everything underground.
Trenchless?
Do them all the time.
How about...
Easy payments?
Yeah.
With approved credit. Sure thing.
When can you get started?
We are the Ready Right Now plumbers.
Love that.
Apollo Plumbing, trenchless waterline replacement.
Sewer lines, too.
Can you dig that?
That I can.
ApolloPlumbing.com.
Your medication for enlarged prostate is working. That's what you tell yourself. You're up 3 times a night instead of 5. The urgency is manageable. The stream's not great, but it's fine. That's the problem. Fine. Enlarged prostate, or BPH, doesn't pause because the medication takes the edge off. The prostate keeps growing. The bladder keeps working harder. And over time, those changes can be harder to reverse. But surgery? Not for you, right? Aquablation is not the surgery you're picturing. It's the only ultrasound-guided, robotic-assisted therapy for enlarged prostate. Don't wait until things become unbearable. Find an Aquablation urologist near you. Call Aquablation Seattle at 206-666-2466. 206-666-2466. That's 206-666-2466. All surgical treatments carry risks and results may vary. Side effects may include urinary symptoms, mild pain, ejaculatory dysfunction, or infection. In rare cases, complications to the urethra and rectum may occur. Aquablation therapy may not be right for everyone. Talk to your urologist to learn more. Visit aquablationseattle.com.
Holy smokes!
The On Cruise Adventures Rick Riz Show.
What happened at the ballpark yesterday?
Sparky's sitting on my scorebook here, my cat.
Friday mornings at 8:15 on Seattle's Morning News.
Underestimating the trucking industry is one of the biggest mistakes I see victims and other lawyers make. Trucking companies have an army of lawyers and experts who act quickly after an accident to protect the company. Only an experienced trucking accident lawyer can navigate the complicated federal and state laws to protect your rights. If you or a loved one has been injured in a trucking accident, call Davis Law Group today for a free consultation or get my free book on trucking accident law at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo. The King County Regional Homelessness Authority answering questions after a recent audit found that agency mismanaged $13 million. KIRO News Radio's Corwin Hake reports leaders say fraud is not the reason why.
We have 100% clean records on every penny we've spent.
Addressing a Seattle City Council committee, William Towie with the KCHRA presents a corrective action plan for the agency's survival. And Michael Pickett with the nonprofit Fair Start tells the committee it can be saved.
They've got areas they need to improve. What I would urge all of you to do is to help them, advocate for them, and hold them accountable.
Late this summer, the Seattle Mayor's office may recommend the 5-year-old agency be dismantled. Corwin Hake, KIRO News Radio.
Better than expected, a jobs report came out today. The Labor Department says 172,000 jobs were added last month. More from ABC's Perry Russum.
Some analysts say this should really stop any talks, of a recession, with one expert telling us that recessions do not happen when the labor market is moving like this. But remember, this is just one part of the overall economy. The price of food is still up. The price of gas and oil is still up.
Now, the positive jobs report led to a steep sell-off on Wall Street. The Nasdaq down 4%. Dow lost nearly 700 points. Investors fear a hot labor market could lead to rate hikes. Members of Iran's World Cup soccer team have now been cleared to enter the United States. The squad received U.S. visas, allowing them to cross their training base in Tijuana, Mexico. Iran plays 2 matches in California before facing Egypt here in Seattle on June 26th. January has arrived as thunderstorms take aim at the Puget Sound region today and tomorrow. National Weather Service meteorologist Matthew Cullen says Saturday appears to be the bigger threat.
Maybe a 30 to 35% chance, so a much higher chance for seeing some thunderstorms around the area. And it's actually going to be Snohomish County southward tomorrow, so kind of through Seattle down through the South Sound.
Lightning, gusty winds, downpours are all on the table. Now to the real-time traffic desk at 3:33. We check in with Lori.
Traffic is brought to you by Wilcox Farms. Southbound I-5 right past State Route 18. Look out for a collision. That one's in the right lane. Southbound 167, it's the northbound direction, the off-ramp to 84th, a collision on the ramp. Still looking at a problem westbound 90, the on-ramp from Island Crest Way. That's in the left lane. You're going to see a slowdown northbound 405, Renton to Bellevue, about a 14-minute delay. Southbound I-5, Everett to Seattle, 6-minute slowdown. Linwood to Bellevue, only 5 minutes. Slow down, that is. 8-minute delay if you're taking I-5, 520, Seattle to Redmond, and it'll only be a 3-minute delay if you take I-90. For convenient, healthy snack on the go, look for ready-to-eat Wilcox hard-boiled eggs. Find Wilcox at Costco, Metro Market, Safeway, and other local grocers. I'm Lori, KIRO, real-time traffic.
Increasing showers for this afternoon and again into tonight. Come tomorrow, the storms will be widespread from about 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Chance for some lightning and downpours as well, and also some mountain snow. Right now, 64 degrees and 57 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
This hour brought to you by Home Comfort Alliance.
Greg Tomlin and Tim Gatos in on the John Curley Show. Wow, Tim, U.S. payrolls rose 172,000 in May, much more than expected. The Trump effect?
Dude, he's on a roll right now.
I don't know how to make sense of the stock market. Job numbers come in huge. Dow's down 700 points. Maybe I'm one of those weird people that follows the Dow on a daily basis, thinking that there's some rhyme or reason that it'll react the way that it rationale would.
Greg, if you knew, you wouldn't be sitting here right now.
That's exactly. Oh, that's real nice. Thanks for that.
That's a compliment.
Okay,
that is a compliment. Hey, you got a good show. Guess who's coming up? Julie Kang.
Julie Kang. We scored Julie Kang.
Yep. And then
let's go.
And then tomorrow up in Aurora Avenue, this has been making international headlines.
International
headlines. Neighbors have been, they put out the planters and trying to, circumvent the pimps running around the neighborhood. They're doing a huge event tomorrow. It's a walk against the traffickers and the pimps.
Okay.
And so we're going to have one of those neighbors join us who's putting on this, essentially this walk, along with former Seattle City Attorney Ann Davison, who's part of that as well. So you're not going to want to miss that. That's coming up later.
But first, how often do you take light rail, Tim?
I take it, average once every 2 months.
Okay, to go to a sporting event? Is it a day-to-day life kind of thing, or usually when you're
typically airport?
Okay, typically airport.
Yep.
First time I used the new line to go from the east side into downtown Seattle was for a Mariners game about a month ago. I caught the one on Mercer Island, went in, seemed pretty seamless. There were dozens of people that were on the light rail with me. I didn't pay anything to get on. As far as
You're
I could,
supposed to.
As far as I could tell, no one around me paid anything to get on.
You didn't pay. You're outing yourself right now.
Then I
Greg.
came back to the east side, didn't pay a dime, didn't notice anybody else paying either. My wife just went to an M's game about a week ago. The first thing she texted me was, nobody's paying here to get on and off this thing. It's really easy to do, and it was great. We had a fun time, but yeah, nobody's paying.
Did you think about paying?
You'd have to ask her on that one. Did her
that's what a lot of
conscience
people
eat
say.
away at her for
That's
that?
what a lot of people say when they go inside a Walgreens right now. They're like, "Oh man, this ice cream's easy to take."
Everybody else is doing it. I don't ride it very often, but I pay every time I do.
Last time I talked to Sully in here, he was of the opinion, or maybe it was data backed, that like 70 to 80% of people that ride don't pay. And I was flabbergasted at that number. Maybe we want to get a fact checker on that. But I was not surprised to see this story today that Sound Transit is proposing fare gates at 14 light rail stations. And I'm just scratching my head as to why they didn't have fare gates originally and how they thought they could rely on the honor system here befuddles me. I'm sorry I used the word flabbergasted and befuddled. Within 2 minutes of each other, but I had no better words.
It's about 63%, by the way.
That don't pay?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's funny to me about this story just was, came out today. They had to do a study, right? Okay. So think about this. Sound Transit had to do a study to examine to see if putting in fare gates is going to help their bottom line. Like, why?
Let's have 8 meetings and 3 committees.
I want to know how much we paid for that study.
Quick correction. It's actually 63% that do pay.
Really?
Yes.
So I've heard numbers on all sides of this. I don't know what to make of it.
So it's not painting you in a good light.
Can you explain to me, Greg, why would a study need to be done to show that, if we get fare gates and we actually tell people they need to pay and enforce them to pay, that this is going to help our bottom line? And oh my gosh, maybe that $35 billion deficit, maybe that'll help a little bit.
So a financial analysis estimated construction costs between $80 and $88 million to put these fare gates in, with a return on investment occurring within 2 to 5 years after implementation. And again, to me, it speaks to the notion of why weren't these put there in the first place? Do you think that was ideologically driven? It seems just like very commonsensical to me to go, oh yeah, you need to make it so people are forced to pay before they get on this.
Well, there are people, some of our political leaders are on the record saying doing such things is racist. I mean, truly. I mean, some of our political leaders said that, and actually having transit security agents who are walking around like similarly. So we've kind of shot ourselves in the foot numerous times with this. The question that I think we all need to answer is, at what point do we just move beyond some of the, just insane views we have around this when it comes to, I mean, you could take the same thing that we don't enforce fares on Sound Transit. You could take the same sort of mindset and outlook to a lot of other things that we do when it comes to, well, we're actually not going to enforce the laws. We're not going to arrest criminals. We're not going to prosecute criminals. All these different things are actually all related to each other in how we look at things and how we're really unwilling to have people have accountability or, enforce the law.
I think part of this boils down to human nature, and when your beliefs run contrary to the evidence in front of your own eyes. You know what I mean? I think there's something so deep in human beings where if you adopt a certain set of values or a certain type of ideology about the way you think the world works, even when you're presented evidence to the contrary that doesn't bear that out, you still intrinsically want to stick to the belief somehow. I don't know if that's a pride issue or an ego issue or something where, at a very human level, we can't admit that we're wrong, and then it would make us look foolish to entertain the notion that our presupposition or our inferences could be wrong at the end of the day. I think that goes for left and right. We just happen to live in a left city.
And I think it's deeper and more than that. And by the way, I'd love to know what folks that are what y'all think about this. 888-973-5476. 888-973-5476. Text us. Let us know what you think. Greg, I think it's even deeper than that and for all of us, because we all have, belief systems, things that we think are true. And because I think in a lot of ways, the ideology for many becomes quote unquote religion, right? And it's kind of your truth in life. And so if you go against your truth in life, what do you have at that point? Because it becomes really your identity, right? So if you go against...
Yeah, they're linked for sure.
If you go against your identity, then...
What are you?
Truly, no, I'm being serious. Like, what are you if you... hey, I've believed this for so long, and now even if the data shows I'm wrong, I can't say that, because if I lose this belief, then I lose myself.
Man, I love when you get philosophical, Tim. Well played. Greg Tomlin, Tim Gatos in on the John Curley Show. Let's send it on over to Lori at the Real-Time Traffic Desk. We'll be right back.
Traffic is brought to you by Carpet Liquidators. Southbound I-5 right past State Route 18, a collision in the right lane, and your stop and go from 272nd all the way past the scene to 167 Bay Street, both directions of 16. Pretty slow past Center from an earlier incident. Seattle to Everett, an hour, 4 minutes. 16-minute delay, Bellevue to Federal Way. And 520 westbound, you're going to see a slowdown approaching I-5. I-90 eastbound slows approaching the bridge deck, and then again right at 405. Why pay retail? Save big with the largest carpet and hardwood flooring selection at Carpet Liquidators. 7 locations. They got you covered at Carpet Liquidators. I'm Lori. KIRO Real-Time Traffic.
KIRO News Radio is honored to be the recipient of 7 regional Edward R. Murrow Awards, including Overall Excellence. Excellence in writing.
We can't let hatred become the air we breathe. It poisons us all. Our strength is in unity.
We thank you who listen, stream, and watch every day. The driving force that pushes us to be the Northwest trusted news source. KIRO News Radio, 97.3 FM.
Healthcare costs are rising, and a major driver is hospital prices. They've increased more than 250% over the past 25 years. Families and local businesses are feeling it. At Primera Blue Cross, we're working to change that by negotiating with hospitals to secure fair, responsible prices so you can get the care you need at a cost you can afford. That's coverage that counts. Learn more at coveragethatcounts.premera.com.
Step inside and let the excitement take you places. This is Muckleshoot Casino Resort, the ultimate spot for action that reaches incredible heights, luxury that knows no bounds, and live entertainment that always thrills. It's all at one incredible destination. So when you look for the best, look nowhere else. Muckleshoot Casino Resort, the biggest and best in the Northwest.
Do you get sinus infections, congestion, sinus pressure and pain, sinus headaches? You've gone to the doctor. You visit urgent care over and over again. And it's always the same thing, right? Oh, I know. Let's try antibiotics and some nasal sprays. But they just keep coming back. You may suffer with chronic sinus infections. The good news? Relief is possible. How? A minimally invasive procedure called the Sinusoft procedure, available only at the Modern Nose Clinic. Imagine a procedure so delicate there are no narcotics. Less cutting means less bleeding, so no packing, and no operating room. The Sinusoft procedure is designed for the clinic. If you suffer with chronic sinus infections, facial pain, pressure, and congestion, find out if the Sinusoft procedure, available only at the Modern Nose Clinic, is the solution for you. Call and set an appointment today. 206-388-2770. 206-388-2770. That's 206-388-2770.
When Dennis suggested retirement planning to his wife, Linda, she had the same reaction lots of people do.
Do we really need it?
Then they attended a free seminar with elder law attorney Rajiv Nagayich at LifePoint Law.
He asked me, what do you want? And he truly listened. And at the end of it, it was like, we need to do this.
There are many people on the radio that speak about many things. And when we got here and actually worked with the team that Rajiv has put together, it turns out that it is not just talk, it is action.
And in the worst case?
I said to him, if something happens to Dennis, what would I do exactly? And he said, you pick up the phone and you call Rajiv or you call me. And that right there was like peace of mind.
Register for a free LifePoint Law retirement planning seminar in Tacoma on June 4th, Mukilteo June 6th, Lacey June 9th, or Bellevue June 13th, 6:30 p.m. Space is limited. Sign up at lifepointlaw.com. That's lifepointlaw.com. Hey, you know Earthwise Salvage in Soto? That really cool place with all the amazing doors, windows, and other treasure? Great news! They just opened a brand new location nearby. The Salvage Lumber Warehouse is ready to serve as a central resource for contractors, builders, home DIYers, and hobbyist woodworkers, providing access to clean, de-nailed lumber ready for reuse, flooring, beams, siding, mantles, live edge slabs, and so much more. All harvested from structures, not forests. Visit ewsalvage.com.
Not all heroes wear capes. Some carry groceries, prepare meals, or simply hold a hand. Caregivers are the everyday heroes who keep our communities strong. Right now, Washington needs more of these heroes. People like you, ready to make a difference in someone's life. Caregiver Careers Washington offers online resources and guidance to help you get trained and start your caregiving career. Become a hero not just to the person you care for, but to their family and their community. Visit caregivercareerswa.com today.
Sponsored by DSHS and aired by the WSAB and this station.
Are you a homeowner, 62 or older, and realize that your Social Security and other income may not carry you through your retirement years? Have you ever thought about a reverse mortgage? Hey, Brock Hewitt here for my friends at Tila Mortgage, a local company serving Washington residents for 30 years. And if you want to know how reverse mortgage works or have questions like, are reverse mortgages safe? Will I still own my home? Or do I really have the option of not making monthly mortgage payments? Call Tila for a no-pressure conversation. They'll answer your questions with personalized recommendations and loan options that can safely help you improve your monthly cash flow, increase your available income, pay off debt, or make home improvements. Call Tila today. Tila, spelled T-I-L-A, is a name you could trust for truthful, honest, and ethical advice for all your mortgage needs. Call 206-766-8888. That's 206-766-8888 or
Insurance and property taxes are borrower's responsibility. Tila Mortgage LLC is a mortgage broker. NMLS 2472046.
Guys, it's Men's Health Month at Revive Seattle. Get a free comprehensive wellness panel. It checks your testosterone, blood sugar, heart health, and more. Valued at $400. Offer ends June 30th. Call 206-529-1111 or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Greg Tomlin and Tim Gatos in on the John Curley Show. Tim, when I was a wee lad, my dad was really into the band The Who, still is really into the band The Who, Pete Townsend, Roger Daltrey. And we had on DVD a documentary about The Who that featured a bunch of previously unseen footage.
What's a DVD?
What is that? No. It's hard media. It's spun round and round. There was one scene from this concert footage in this documentary where the band is playing, and Keith Moon, the drummer, one of the best, rock drummers of all time, is so high on drugs he passes out during the middle of the show. Basically keels over like mid-song. And stagehands aren't even worried for a second. They're just like, yeah, he's passed out. It's Keith Moon. That's what he does. And they carry him off the stage. But in a 4-piece band, that's such an integral part of what The Who is doing. It's part of their essence. And Pete Townsend gets on the microphone and goes, "Can anybody play the drums?" And they pick out a guy from the audience. He comes up and he finishes the show with The Who. And I saw this as an 11 and 12-year-old thinking, this must happen all the time at these rock shows. And it became this little dream of mine that one day I was an aspiring guitar player, that someday I'd be at some concert. Even into adulthood, I still have this fantasy of someone being like, I hurt my hand. Does anybody know how to play guitar? And then I'm up there at Climate Pledge with The Cure, rocking out to Friday I'm in Love.
Would that be what would be the band that you would feel most comfortable because their stuff?
The Beatles.
The Beatles?
Yeah.
Well, obviously.
So Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney comes to town to Climate Pledge. His guitar player has explosive diarrhea, and I'm there in row 10, and I'm I'm healthy. So I'm tanned, rested, and ready.
You could do
Let's go.
75 songs? How many songs?
I could easily do 3 hours of Beatles material.
Seriously?
Oh,
Wow.
Blackbird, let's go. Give me the guitar.
That's impressive.
Joe, get the guitar. No. Okay. But lo and behold, 30 years pass, and I don't hear any stories like what happened with Keith Moon until today.
This is it. Yeah.
So there's a concert in Australia, and it's a La La Land concert where the music from the hit movie La La Land is being performed, and trouble starts at the intermission. The intermission is taking a really long time, and then I believe it's the conductor comes out and basically announces to the crowd, "Hey, is anybody an amazing sight reader in the audience?" And some guy raises his hand, I take it. They invite him up on stage, and it turns out the keyboardist fell ill. Oh, yeah. And I first thought, well, the show can still go on without a keyboardist. It's a big orchestra.
Not with La La Land.
But with La La Land.
No way, man.
The piano is integral to the music arrangements, as you can hear in this hit song, City of Stars.
City of Stars. Oh, wow.
That's a little pitchy, dog. That's a little pitchy. So this hero gets up. He's gone completely viral. And without one practice under his belt, joins in the orchestra and just crushes it at the keyboard. And he's a hero for all time, forever in our hearts.
The conductor brings him up after the show. He does his own little bow. And by the way, he didn't even volunteer. The girl he was with said, "Oh, him, he can do it. He's like, no.
And this guy's name is Sterling NASA, and he's only 21 years old. So it didn't happen to me, but it happened. My dream happened to Sterling.
Yeah.
So I just want to say congratulations. Cool. I love the story. Probably one of my favorites of the day.
Can you? Are you a La La Land? Can you play? Are you a keyboardist?
I took 3-4 years of piano lessons growing up, and so I can sight read very slowly. But guitar, tell me to play anything in guitar, I can do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, what about you? Do you have an adjacent fantasy that might not involve music, but something else?
Well, I was a trumpet player.
Curly goes down, and here you are. You're asked to guest host on the show.
Funny, true story. This is not like this, but close. I played trumpet in junior high in 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. And
to get the girls. Yep.
I begged my mom to quit. I was like, I don't want to play trumpet anymore. I just want to focus on sports. So, and then I'm in graduate school, and 98. So this is maybe 12 or 14 years after I'd ever picked up a trumpet. And I was in graduate school in Los Angeles. This is late 90s. And some younger friends of mine were in a ska band. And if you familiar with, ska was like at the height of its popularity.
Its powers, yep.
Back then, the Biney Body Boss Stones and No Doubt and all that kind of stuff. And down in L.A., that scene was huge. So these guys, they said, hey, our trumpet player quit. And they didn't know I played trumpet. And I said, hey, I played trumpet 14 years ago. They're like, dude, we need you because we got a show coming up. I was like, dude, there's no way. And they're like, no, we're desperate.
This is your moment.
And literally, they had a trumpet, and I went and practiced for a couple days, and I played at this ska show, and I actually stayed with the band for like maybe 6 months.
No kidding.
And played these ska shows with, you ever heard of the Israelites? You ever heard of that?
I have now.
Have you heard of the Israelites? Dude, so we toured with the Israelites in Southern California.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I was terrible, though, dude. I made so many mistakes during like a show, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Abraham on saxophone, Moses on lead vocals.
Yeah.
The
Dude, you knew the Israelites? That's awesome, dude.
All right, we got to throw it to a break. Greg Tallman and Tim Gatos on the John Curley Show. Let's check in with Laura at the real-time traffic desk.
Southbound I-5 right past 18, you've got a collision in the right lane, stop and go traffic from 272nd. And actually, even once you get through the scene, you're slow all the way to Bay Street. Federal Way to Tacoma now, add 21 minutes to your drive. 405 northbound, the on-ramp from 195th, a collision on the ramp backing you up from 522. I'm Lori, KIRO, real-time traffic.
This is a special notice to all U.S. taxpayers with back taxes owed to the IRS. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, you may now be eligible for relief through current IRS initiatives for struggling taxpayers. In some cases, taxpayers may qualify to reduce as much as 99% of what they owe. You may already be experiencing wage garnishment, liens, levies, or audits and be unaware of this important information. Call Guardian Tax now to see what relief you may be eligible for at 800-404-7986. By taking action today, you may be able to stop all collections and resolve your tax problem before your tax problem gets worse. Tax experts are standing by to review your case and fight to slash your debt dramatically. Don't let your tax problem get worse and miss this time-sensitive opportunity. Check your eligibility with Guardian Tax now. Call 800-404-7986. 800-404-7986. That's 800-404-7986.
Nick, you know what's a great thing about going to Longevity Medical Clinic as a couple?
Oh, I absolutely do. When they tell you to do something, you actually do it.
Right. And the same thing with you. When they tell you to do it, because for some reason, when I tell you to do it, you're like, whoa.
I just walk away and roll my eyes.
Exactly. But the great thing about Longevity Medical Clinic, the doctors there know, because we do the blood draw and they look and they can see, they know, they hold us accountable.
Yeah, when I'm under pressure and I know I'm coming in, I know I have to work the program.
Right. Plus, we also want to hold each other accountable for how we take care of ourselves because, we want to have a long, healthy, happy life.
I know. I want every day to torture you as long as I possibly can.
Well, I look forward to it. Here's the great thing about Longevity Medical Clinic. They're working with you. They're holding you accountable because they want you to have a long, healthy, happy life. I was a patient at Longevity long before I started doing these commercials. So get your free health analysis. Go to lmclinic.com. That's lmclinic.com.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a super fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and data for just $34.99 a month. But wait, there's more. When you switch to Pure Talk, you'll be switching to an American wireless company that's committed to keeping 100% of its customer service in this country. I appreciate that. In fact, that's why I switched. I also appreciate the way they support our vets and our skilled workforce. Dial pound 250, say micro, and get unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. That's pound 250 micro. Stop paying twice what you need to pay for the service you want and switch to an American wireless company that actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
Have something to say? We'd love to hear it. Text KIRO News Radio at 888-973-KIRO. That's 888-973-5476. Powered by Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
Amazon Business. Discover smart business buying, where unmatched selection meets AI-driven tools to simplify complex processes so you can focus on what matters most. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it.
But my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Your best source for local news. KIRO News Radio, KIRO FM and HD1, Tacoma, Seattle, Northwest News.
ABC News, I'm Mike Dubusky. Oral arguments today in a case over whether President Trump has the authority to build a new ballroom at the White House. Construction was halted by a lower court after a lawsuit brought by historical preservationists. Now the president's team is pushing for that decision to be thrown out. ABC's Stephen Portnoy has more from Washington.
The government argues that the ballroom is necessary for national security, pointing to the drone port that the president says will be on the roof of the new ballroom, the bulletproof glass and the blast-proof columns. The appeals court panel that heard this today is comprised of appointees of Presidents Obama, Biden, and Trump. And it was really difficult to get a sense just listening to the questions for 2 hours over where this is going to land. But you can imagine that the losing side is probably going to take it to the Supreme Court.
And police have charged 44-year-old Michael Gledhill with murder in connection with the death of character actor James Handy. Gledhill, the son of Handy's girlfriend, is being held for psychiatric evaluation. This is ABC News. There's a new challenge to a Georgia election law.
The law makes local races in 5 metro Atlanta counties nonpartisan, and DeKalb County District Attorney Sherry Boston says that violates the Constitution because it doesn't apply to every Georgia county.
If the legislature chooses to make these races nonpartisan, it should be everyone and not just Democratic DAs that represent the city of Atlanta.
If the measure is not thrown out by the courts, it will take effect in 2028. Jonathan O'Brien, ABC News, Atlanta.
Measles cases in the U.S. have topped 2,000 for the second year in a row, according to new data from the Centers for Disease Control. Infections are now being reported across 38 states and the District of Columbia. Lego, the company, has announced its largest set ever, a 12,000-piece model of the Sagrada Familia Cathedral in Barcelona, Spain. I'm Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
Looks like World Cup surveillance cameras are going live after all. The story after Lori at the real-time traffic desk.
Southbound I-5 right past 18. That collision finally cleared. Your stop and go from 272nd, adding 21 minutes from your drive Federal Way to Tacoma. Traffic is brought to you by Wilcox Farms. Seattle to Everett now, an hour, 4 minutes, a 16-minute delay. Bellevue to Federal Way. We still have a collision 195th in Bothell to northbound 405, backing you up from 522, even causing a little bit of a southbound 405 slowdown. Eastbound 90 slows approaching the bridge deck, and again approaching 405, costing you about 5 minutes to your commute. For a convenient, healthy snack on the go, look for a ready-to-eat Wilcox hard-boiled egg. Find Wilcox eggs at Costco, Metro Market, Safeway, and other local grocers. I'm Lori, KIRO, real-time traffic.
KIRO News Radio, 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo. Seattle will have those surveillance cameras on during the World Cup games. Mayor Katie Wilson made the announcement today after meeting with the FBI and police, saying they've identified, quote, general but credible security threats. Councilmember Rob Saka had been asking for this.
And I'm grateful for the mayor, listening to different perspectives and ultimately, I think, doing the right thing. And it takes courage and leadership to do that. So I applaud the mayor for that.
And he's asking that those cameras stay on after the games. A juvenile court judge says it is beyond a tragedy. A 13-year-old boy is suspected in the shooting death of a 17-year-old family member. The boy's father asked for a secure detention, saying the family still loves him. A shooting happened last Friday in South Seattle. In court today, a judge ordered the boy held in juvenile detention. Formal charges are expected early next week. City of Everett has approved a $25,000 settlement over the release of flock safety camera footage.
According to the Herald, an Oregon man had requested images and data logs from Everett's license plate readers last year. The city refused to release them, saying they were exempt from the public records law. In February, though, a Snohomish County judge disagreed. However, a new state law signed in March now shields flock footage from disclosure. City of Everett briefly stopped using those cameras until that law went into effect.
That's KIRO News Radio's Frank Lindsay reporting. Neighbors in Seattle's Greenwood neighborhood are taking to the streets to shine a light on crime.
I'm Jillian Raftery. These neighbors are planning a march along Aurora Avenue Saturday night, where sex traffickers have operated for years and an explosion of gun violence has riddled homes with bullets.
Wanting to trust that your kids can go outside and play safely, but also knowing that at night, so far it's just been at night, guns come out.
Peter Orr lives nearby and says the problem is so serious the city should close some of the hardest hit residential streets, establish a police mobile precinct, and even call up the National Guard to help protect the neighborhood.
And much more coming up on this story next. Your forecast now. We are seeing some increasing showers this afternoon. Come tomorrow, a stormy Saturday on tap. Drying out for Sunday. Right now, 63 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Welcome back. Tim Gatos, Greg Tomlin in on the John Curley Show. Thanks for being with us on this Friday. Beautiful day here in the Pacific Northwest. 888-973-5476. Text us. We've got a great program. You know, District 5, which is in the city of Seattle. It's Aurora, Lake City. I live in Lake City, and we have been making international headlines recently. Not for great reasons. You've probably heard about some of the pimp wars that are happening along Aurora Avenue. I mean, we're talking dozens and dozens and dozens of gun violence issues each week, each night. It's unbelievable. Later on in the program, we're actually going to be talking to one of the neighbors. They're along with former Seattle City Attorney Ann Davison. There's a walk that's happening tomorrow, a walk against trafficking and gun violence. We'll talk about that later. Also, we're going to talk right now with a Seattle City candidate for District 5. That's this area. That's Aurora. That's Lake City. Julie Kang is in studio with us. Julie, we're so glad that you took the time to join us. You're coming in and jumping in, throwing your hat in the ring at a very important time for District 5, for Lake City, for Aurora. Why are you doing this?
Thank you for having me. I've been a resident in North Seattle for almost 30 years, and I'm just tired of waiting for consistent leadership, someone who's going to continue to fight for public safety on Aurora and economic vitality on Lake City Way, 35th, and beyond in North Seattle.
Yeah. I got to ask you right away. So it was even just said in this news clip we ran that, hey, we've got to make a way for it more difficult for the pimps to make their way through these residential streets. And we're going to, they had to put up planters to keep them from coming through. And the city's response was, well, gosh, yeah, that's going to be an issue, an obstacle for emergency vehicles, obviously. And so our response is we're going to put in some traffic calming traffic calming things to make it more difficult. And here's the thing, Julie, that just stymies me time and time again. Why do we not just say, you know what, we're going to enforce the law on the books. We're actually going to arrest these people. We're going to arrest these pimps, these guys who are out there. I mean, we have them on cameras. Mm-hmm. We know who they are. Why do we have zero political will to actually enforce the law? And instead, we're worried about traffic calming issues.
And this is not the first time. Actually, Virgil Flame, after the double homicide, the neighbors actually, we they purchased and put barricades. Same thing at Sandal Park. So all of a sudden, we're getting attention. And when I first moved up to Seattle, I actually lived on Aurora until we had our child, couldn't navigate the sidewalks. So we moved to North Seattle. And when you talk about the political will, we actually had Councilmember Moore who questioned that to the council last week, right? So yes, as a teacher, as an educator, and a longtime community leaders, the community and the business leaders are wanting public safety.
Yeah. Julie, thanks so much for coming into studio today. So who or what do you pin the failures on right now in Aurora? And if elected to District 5 in Seattle here, how would you use your voice to make a positive change? What needs to be done immediately from a governing standpoint?
We need to enforce the laws. We need to protect the children and the youth. We need to address exploitations with tools like SOAP that we already have. We need to hold the buyers and the traffickers accountable. And we need to improve the community safety. So we have the tools, we just have to implement it.
Yeah. So how do we do that?
So starting with the enforcement. I think we have to say it's not a normalized behavior, because as soon as you cross to 145th, the behavior stops. And we currently have a policy that would allow us to, implement 85th through 145th and tell the world that it's not okay, especially with FIFA coming. Don't come up to North Seattle because we are looking out for you.
Yeah.
What do you make of some of the barriers that have been put up in certain neighborhoods around Aurora? Do you see it as an understandable reaction and people taking matters into their own hands? Or when you first saw these stories coming out, what was your immediate reaction?
Actually, I lived through the whole thing. And again, I have been waiting. So I understand the frustration. I empathize. I am one of the neighbors that is tired. I have a 21-year-old daughter who was born and raised in North Seattle, who had to witness how sex trafficking works. And that's not okay. So I've spoke with middle school, high school principals who are concerned with their young women and children getting to school safely. That is not okay. So for our neighbors to take stand, I think they're just at the end of it, and they want a leadership that's going to continue to fight for them, but also establish, ways to reduce exploitation, to ensure safety. And that starts with having conversations. But again, I think enforcing the laws that we have is what we need. And we also need more police officers. I know police officers is not for everything, but when we have violent crimes, we need response time. And in speaking with the captain and working with North Precinct, we need double this amount. The large D5 is not always known by all of the council members, but they need to come and see the vast and the disconnected district right now with all of the,
What do you make of our current Seattle City Attorney, Erica Evans? She said, we're not going to prosecute any of this. We're not going to, the SOAP law, this, stay out of area prostitution, since she's come on, of course, this has just exploded now. And she said, I'm not going to prosecute any of this. What do you make of that?
So I'll just start out as a woman of color. I appreciate her leaning into the possible concerns with profiling Black and brown people. So I appreciate that. But at this time, we need to get to the underlying problems of poverty, housing, and pathway to safety. And that conversation already is taking place with our neighbors, mostly people of color. So again, we have the tools. Let's use it.
Yeah.
Julie King, candidate here at Seattle District 5 for the City Council. To take a pause for a moment, this is my first time meeting you. I'd like to get to know you for a moment. Can you tell us a little bit about your biography? As I understand it, you came to the States when you were 7 years old. Can you talk about some of those formative years and your experiences? You said you also lived in Seattle for many decades. And talk a little bit about your family, your upbringing, your heritage, and how it's informed your political philosophy, your values today, and how that could impact your time if elected.
Thanks for asking. As a first-gen immigrant who came to the U.S. with a single mother, I actually grew up in a concrete jungle, and those are not my words. Those are the words in research, near MacArthur Park in Los Angeles. And if anyone Googles MacArthur Park, that during the 80s and 90s where all of the crimes, the gun violence, sex trafficking, all of those behaviors that a 7-year-old should not see was happening. And living with my single mother who did not drive but worked really long hours, I had to go through that MacArthur Park every day to get to the library at the end of the park. So when I am advocating for the children and the youth who need to be safe to walk in their neighborhoods, it's because of my lived experiences. I'm also very passionate about continuing to be in North Seattle because growing up, I moved over 23 times. It was beyond my control. And finally, when I got married and I was able to buy a home, we bought in North Seattle, and I want to stay for another 30 years and beyond. But that is not becoming the reality with what is happening with public safety, affordability, and our neighborhood declining with people leaving. So
yeah, I live in Lake City, as I said. I've got 4 daughters. It wasn't too long ago. I took a couple of them up to one of the parks in Lake City, and they were going to use the playground, but they were unable to because there was some folks who were doing drugs, who were just hanging out on the playground, on the slide. Of course, needles all over the place. Why do we allow this in Seattle? We talk about like, hey, we care about people, we care about kids, we care about families, and yet the action, like that particular instance, shows that what we really don't. No. Like we're actually not interested in taking care of families and giving them opportunities to go to the parks and enjoy those because we have an ideology that is going to drive that out. Can you talk about that?
So we talk about civil liberties and civil rights a lot. But when the system is broken and we are not able to stay and work and thrive as a community, then the system is failing. And during the pandemic, I actually started walking because I needed neighbors to see that we have Asian Americans in the community. We didn't bring the pandemic, and we continue to do that. And most recently, I've been leading these walks in North Seattle because we needed to activate these spaces with positivity. So I've had tea time and just gathering opportunities for neighbors, but it's really hard in the evening time. During the day, on weekends, maybe, but when we clean up the parks, we see all of the things that you have mentioned, and it's not okay. We have rules within 25 feet of school. You can't smoke, you can't have alcohol, yet in public spaces where the most marginalized community members need that outdoor green space, we are not making it possible for them to enjoy. So we have to step up because I'm fighting for that 7-year-old who had to, bear to go through that park, but we have students now that are in the same position.
Julie Kang, there was news today that Seattle's Mayor Katie Wilson okayed CCTV usage down by the stadiums ahead of the World Cup here. Those are surveillance cameras. Do you have a position on surveillance cameras around Aurora Avenue and other parts of North Seattle that are sort of hotbeds for criminal activity?
So, as a King County Immigrant and Refugee Commission co-chair, I am concerned about the safety of our immigrant and refugees, and that was the position that I took when in the past interviews I've said no to cameras. Yesterday, I went and met the baby who was almost hurt severely. We all know about Jake's baby, And I saw the bullet holes in my neighbors' houses. I've also walked 50 blocks along Aurora talking to the small business owners, and I've talked to over 6,000 neighbors during canvassing. They all agree They want the cameras. In fact, they have their cameras. I've canvassed so many doors where I left messages, saying that I'm here. So it took a long time, but I'm grateful that our mayor has changed her position because it's what the community has wanted and demanded. So I'm grateful for that.
We've talked some about the challenges to District 5. What's one thing that you think the city is doing well right now? Because we talk a lot about the problems here and solutions, but is there anything you can point to and say, Seattle is spot on this issue and they're doing it right?
Well, we're making progress in transportation. We're getting sidewalks. We're beginning to see that. And we have, I'm going to say 3 light rail stations. Pinehurst is coming. We have South Shoreline. And we have Northgate. Of course, with infrastructure comes challenges because the growth has to match the infrastructure. And so right now, even with 3 stations, not many of us can really walk to the stations. So we are making some progress. But I would say the gem of the community are the members. Our neighbors. They are so passionate and they want the right for our community. So I applaud our neighbors.
Julie, you're running against Nailu Jenks. Can you compare and contrast? Why should someone vote for you over Nailu Jenks?
Yeah, so I've gotten to know her better after our vacancy opportunity, and I appreciate her passion, but I am all about local issues. I am super focused on Seattle, District 5, and I've been here for 30 years. I've created economic opportunities through the community bank. I have been a neighbor, a teacher, so I'm going to lead with the teacher's heart. And if you look at my resume, professional resume, I've worked really hard to make sure that I have the skill sets to lead the city, to lead District 5.
Julie, last question from me before we head into a break here momentarily. Is there a question or an issue that hasn't been talked about a lot in the media that you think deserves more attention? Or is there a question you hoped we would have asked that you'd want to address right now?
So we talked a lot about public safety, but I need to bring some attention to economic vitality because we are villainizing a lot of the big corporations. And while we do need taxes to run a city, we haven't seen the follow through and the support for the little guys, the small business owners who are taking a chance to start their first business. And we're not giving them the opportunity to thrive. So I would like to share some love with our small businesses, coffee shop owners, the restaurants who are really struggling to stay. And my husband was one of them.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to be at the walk tomorrow?
Yes, definitely. I got my signs made last night with the community members.
Yeah. And what should people, we're going to talk about that.
Is that open to everybody? And where does that start?
Yes, we're starting at Oak Tree. That used to be a very vibrant community with the supermarket, the movie theater, coffee shop, dry cleaning. It's like one-stop shopping. And if you go right now, during business hours, there are shops that are locked and you have to knock. That is not economic vitality. So come and join us. And we have extra glow sticks, signs. So just show up in solidarity and let's activate these spaces with positivity.
Yeah, it's the walk against human trafficking. We'll actually share some more details about that. We'll talk with some of the neighbors here shortly and give you some more details on that. And as we talked about, this is a significant issue that's happening. Gunfire and gunfights happening almost every night up on Aurora Avenue. Julie Kang, running for Seattle City Council, District 5. Appreciate you taking the time to join us, Julie.
Thank you so much for allowing me to share how wonderful North Seattle can be.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you.
Tim Gatos, Greg Tomlin in on the John Curley Show. We'll take a quick break, but we're going to throw it over to Lori at the real-time traffic desk. How we looking, Lori?
Oh, pretty good, actually. Traffic is brought to you by Seattle Sports. You're going to see a slowdown both directions of I-5 from 512 to State Route 16. Seattle to Everett now, you're looking at an hour, 4 minutes. SeaTac to Seattle is a 28-minute delay. Now, if you're heading from Bellevue to Federal Way, it's going to take you 45 minutes, and Federal Way to Tacoma, not too bad. We're down to 26-minute drive. Now, 405 northbound, the ramp from 195th, a collision on the ramp, backing you up from 522. It's causing you about a 13-minute slowdown, Bellevue to Everett. Search Seattle Sports on YouTube and click subscribe to get fresh video content daily. I'm Lori, KIRO Real-Time Traffic.
KIRO News Radio, winner of 7 regional Edward R. Murrow Awards. Breaking news coverage, best newscast, excellence in writing, investigative reporting, sports reporting, hard news. Capped with a prestigious prize for overall excellence. And we thank you, our audience across the Pacific Northwest. You are the reason we strive to be the Northwest's trusted news source. KIRO News Radio, 97.3 FM.
You know how some parts of the house don't work? Let me explain. There's that closet that you've got that when you open it up, everything falls out. Or you try to find something, you can't because it's not working. There's too much stuff in there. And how about the garage? I know some people that can't park their car in the garage because there's everything else parked in the garage. You see what I'm saying? There might be some other parts of the house where it's just packed and there's no place to store anything. So maybe you've even gone to renting one of those storage units. Well, that adds up every single month. You can't even remember what's in there. So a better investment to get parts of those house working would be Closets by Design. The consultant comes to your house. They look at the problem. They know that each one of these problems that need to be solved have to be customized. But you don't get a big customized price. You're going to get 40% off plus an additional 15% off in 18 months, 0% financing on approved credit when paid in full. I really became a believer in Closets by Design when they came out to the barn in Cle Elum. You should see the work that they did. My goodness. 1-800-BY-DESIGN. That's 1-800-BY-DESIGN. That's closetsbydesign.com.
1-877-CARS for kids. KARS, Cars for kids. 1-877-CARS for kids. Donate your car today.
Call 877-CARS for kids to reach a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now or go to carsforkids.org.
Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too?
For years, I've been telling you how much we care for our hens and the land here at Wilcox Farms. But don't just take my word for it. Our family's commitment is backed by trusted third-party certifications. Hartley Wilcox here. Wilcox eggs are USDA organic, meaning no synthetic pesticides or GMOs. We're certified humane, ensuring our hens live with dignity and space to roam. We're salmon safe, protecting Northwest waterways, and recognized for sustainable farming practices. These aren't just labels. They're proof that every one of our eggs comes from a farm that values animal welfare, environmental stewardship, and your family's health. So next time you're at the store, look for Wilcox Family Farms eggs. They're not only delicious, they're certifiably humane and organic, raised with care you can trust. Learn more at wilcoxfamilyfarms.com because doing the right thing isn't just our promise, it's our principle. Wilcox Family Farms eggs, locally fresh since 1909.
You could sleep through the night without thinking twice. You could take a seat in the middle of the theater. You could drive without worry of where the next restroom is. You used to say yes, and somewhere along the way, you stopped. Not because of one big moment, because of 100 small ones. A little more urgency, one more trip to the bathroom at 2 a.m., one more mental note about where the restroom is. It happened slowly enough that it just became you. But it's not you. It's enlarged prostate, and there's a treatment called aquablation therapy, the only ultrasound-guided robotic-assisted therapy for enlarged prostate. Find an aquablation therapist near you. Call Aquablation Seattle at 206-666-2466, 206-666-2466. That's 206-666-2466. All surgical treatments carry risks, and results may vary. Side effects may include urinary symptoms, mild pain, ejaculatory dysfunction, or infection. In rare cases, complications to the urethra and rectum may occur. Aquablation therapy may not be right for everyone. Talk to your urologist to learn more. Visit aquablationseattle.com.
Are you curious about who offers the best deals on top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs? The answer is surprising. It's not online, and it's not the warehouse clubs. The best deals on top-rated TVs are at Video Only. Don't believe it? Then check out the trade-in deals at Video Only. How about $500 for your old TV? Try doing that online. Before you buy that new TV, drop into video only. If you don't, you'll be sorry.
There is nothing so special as June in a Northwest garden. Hi, I'm Gina at Sky Nursery. I have been a huge gardener since my now adult kids were shorter than my lavender. This time of year, I like to be out in the garden checking on things, enjoying the afternoon golden hour. If you still have room for new plants, it's a great time to get them in the ground before the summer heat. Explore Sky's colorful tapestry of trees and shrubs, veggies and herbs, fountains, hanging baskets, and more. Sky Nursery, the gardener's garden store. Learn more at skynursery.com.
Spike O'Neill here for Ageless Living. Recently, my aunt had surgery and she was home the next day. But we weren't sure if we were ready or equipped to give the kind of care that she needed, so we called Ageless Living and asked about respite care. A short-term stay that provides 24/7 expert care, Ageless Living amenities, and peace of mind for you and your family. Go to agelessliving.com/spike and schedule a visit. It can be a much-needed break for a caregiver and a chance for you and your family to get a look and a taste of what Ageless Living offers. That's agelessliving.com/spike.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon, I'm Aaron Granello. The King County Regional Homelessness Authority is answering questions after a recent audit found the agency mismanaged $13 million. CEO Kelly Kinnison tells the Seattle City Council.
The core of many of these issues is the maturity of the organization and the amount of money that was handled by the organization at a really nascent time.
Housing Authority also faces a $45 million deficit. The agency is fighting for its survival. A 21-year-old man accused of running a sex trafficking operation out of a Bellevue home made his first court appearance today. King County judge found probable cause on counts of human trafficking, money laundering, and leading organized crime. Police say that man ran a fake talent agency, forcing young women to create explicit online content while stealing their earnings and subjecting them to violent abuse. Judge set bail at $5 million. Next hearing is set for Monday. President Trump is touting a stronger than expected jobs report, showing the country gained 172,000 jobs in May, nearly double what analysts were predicting.
We have good everything, good numbers, but the job numbers just came out and they were fantastic.
ABC's Taylor Dunn has a closer look at those numbers.
Leisure and hospitality went on a hiring spree in May, adding 70,000 jobs, including 48,000 just in food, services, and drinking places alone. Local government also saw a strong month, and healthcare continues to show strong gains. Meanwhile, we're continuing to see a decline or stagnation in white-collar jobs.
The positive jobs report was also bad news on Wall Street. A big sell-off today as investors fear a hot labor market will keep interest rates higher. Another weekend and another freeway closure. Here's KIRO News Radio's Jillian Raftery.
Yep. I-5 northbound in Seattle is shutting down all weekend from I-90 to Northeast 45th. This is to dismantle the work zone along the Ship Canal Bridge. The freeway will be clear through the World Cup. Then state crews will close northbound lanes again the weekend of July 10th to put it all back so construction can continue. Ramps start shutting down tonight at 9 p.m., reopening Monday at 5 a.m. Jillian Raftery for KIRO News Radio.
Let's check real-time traffic now at 4:32. Here's Lori.
Traffic is brought to you by Carpet Liquidators. Seattle to Everett now you're looking at an hour, 5 minutes. SeaTac to Tacoma is 50 minutes. 405 northbound at 527, an accident in the left lane making your drive Bellevue to Linwood with a 12-minute slowdown. Bellevue to Federal Way, 45 minutes. And if you're heading from Bellevue to Issaquah, expect a 4-minute slowdown. Highway 9 northbound at 189th southeast. Look out for an incident that's taking up the left lane. Why pay retail? Save big with the largest carpet and hardwood flooring selection at Carpet Liquidators. 7 locations. They got you covered at Carpet Liquidators. I'm Lori, KIRO Real-Time Traffic.
A couple active days ahead of us. Tonight we'll see increasing showers. Come tomorrow, some gusty conditions along with more rain and storms and potentially some snow in the mountains as well. Right now, 61 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granello, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Spring showers
More like spring sprinkles, downpours, hailstorms, cold snaps, flooding, and sometimes even a little sun. Spring in Western Washington changes day to day, even hour to hour. That's why you need experts who have decades of experience and the right tools to keep you weather ready. Watch KIRO 7 pinpoint weather forecasts in every newscast and on the KIRO 7 apps for your phone or TV.
This hour brought to you by Bucky's Auto Repair.
It is June 5th, 2026. Time for a little This Day in History on the John Curley Show. Greg Tomlin and Tim Gatos filling in here on KIRO Radio. And is it June 5th or June 6th? 1968, Robert Kennedy, candidate for president, gave a speech at the Ambassador Hotel just before moving along to Chicago, I believe, for another primary. And right after he left the podium, he was shot dead by Sirhan. And I brought this up in our pre-show meeting to the guys, talking about this not so happy observance, but a time to reflect on political violence and the Kennedy family, which is an iconic American family, just with so much tragedy that surround their story over the last 100 years. And I'm thinking I'm adding some interesting conversation, and I know a lot about this topic. And Tim, you're just sitting there sort of quiet, just taking it in. And I'm like, oh, I guess Tim doesn't want to really engage. But I look over, and you're kind of scrolling through your phone. And you pull up a picture of Robert Kennedy at the podium at the Ambassador Hotel, again, moments before he was assassinated. And there's this famous picture of him, and there you could make out about 4 or 5 people standing behind him. And you show me the picture, and I say, okay, what am I looking at here? And you said, does anybody behind Robert Kennedy look familiar to you? And I see one gentleman. I'm like, well, that guy kind of looks a little like Henry Kissinger. No, not that guy, Greg. What about that guy? And I say, well, that kind of looks like you, Tim. And lo and behold, what's the punchline here? Pay it off for people.
Yeah, no, that was my father was standing, right next to Robert Kennedy at the podium there at the Ambassador Hotel. And actually, he was with the Kennedy campaign and as a news reporter. And as you noted, I mean, just, seconds later, Kennedy walks off the podium and in the kitchen gets shot.
And your dad's name was?
Ken Gatos.
Ken Gatos. Okay, so, he was literally right behind Robert Kennedy, so he must have had pretty good access to the candidate at the time who looked like he was going to become the next president of the United States, most likely had he not been killed.
Absolutely.
And so did you ever talk to your dad about that experience? And what an impression it made on him. What were his recollections? God rest his soul. He passed about 8 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah, a couple interesting things about that. And Ken, it's how I, ended up here in Seattle because he and my mom were living in Los Angeles at the time. And so one interesting thing is, Kennedy in that famous photo, he walks off the podium, and my dad ends up grabbing his notes that he left at the podium. He grabs his, Kennedy leaves the podium and everyone kind of ushers off the stage. My dad grabs the notes that Kennedy left there.
Probably the last thing he wrote on this earth were those notes.
They were, yeah. I mean, seconds later, Kennedy shot. My dad has his notes. And, there was he got a lot of publicity, my dad, about that through, he was on he was the front page of the LA Times, Esquire, a lot of and the Kennedys certainly reached out to my dad and said, hey, you got Robert's last notes from his life. And so he returned some of those notes to the Kennedy family, and they arranged a time and a meeting. And
wow.
And I remember as a kid, my dad talking with me about this, and there's, in fact, still at my mom's house in Edmonds, there's a box of a Robert Kennedy box that has a lot of the notes and things like that from that time, and still some of the a piece of the note from Robert Kennedy. And
no way.
What's interesting about that is that my dad had a couple of things in his life, that moment as well as another moment in his life where he was around a crisis situation, because he was there at that moment when just a seconds later when he got shot. And my dad recognized what happens in a crisis situation. And the if you watch the video of that, just the pandemonium, right?
Oh, it was a packed house,
Yeah.
right? And you hear a scream. There's video of it that exists to this day, and you sort of hear screams and the wave of the crowd. You can kind of see movements, and it's utter mayhem. Yeah.
Yeah. So my dad, that really made this impression of in those moments of crisis and the pandemonium that happens, that, as first responders come, they're trained to come to the victim, right? The person who experienced the trauma, but really no one is trained to come alongside the people who either witnessed the trauma or the family of the victims. And so later on, my dad actually started a ministry called Support 7 International Chaplains Ministry, and it was trained specifically to come alongside people who have experienced crisis and trauma, and usually it's the family members, because no one is trained to come alongside those, and that all stemmed from Robert Kennedy's assassination. In fact,
No kidding.
He started his program on 5 continents, and pretty remarkable man. My dad, Ken Gatos, who also was on the radio here in Seattle. That's how they got to Seattle. The KGDN, KBIQ. If anyone's maybe some of our listeners remember Ken back in the day, 888-973-5476. If you remember the KGDN, KBIQs back in the 60s and 70s.
Honestly, I'm quite touched when you tell that story, because some of those stories that mean the most to me often involve some level of grief or suffering, and someone taking it and turning it into an ultimate good in the long term. And had he not been there that day with Robert Kennedy, he might not have ever got that idea for that ministry. And so you take something that's so horrific, deadly, tragic, and leaves a stain on American history, and something ultimately can be born good out of it. I really think those are some of my favorite stories, period, end of sentence. But I did not know that about you. I didn't know that about your family. I mean, that's crazy. And you still have those newspaper clippings of your dad holding up the notes from the podium?
Yep. Still have that. I showed you that. And I had to look through my phone, and there was the story on the day of Kennedy's funeral. The LA Times ran a front page story on my dad, him holding Kennedy's, last notes, and, really just, fascinating piece of history, for American history.
And I think it's relevant to talk about this today, because we see, unfortunately, tragically, too much political violence. The 60s, it really ramped up with the killing of John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King Jr., George Wallace was shot, Robert Kennedy shot dead. I'm sure there's a couple more that I'm even forgetting about. But it seems like even just within the last 5-10 years, there's even some data to support this, that generations, especially younger generations now, are finding political violence as a way to settle differences or to make a lasting change, which is a horrific trend. And telling these stories and highlighting just the evil that political assassinations are, political violence are, I think is a necessity at this point in time to start to turn the tide back to this notion of we settle our differences in America through robust debate, conversing with one another, and not viewing each other as good and evil enemies, but brothers and sisters who share the same nation and have common interests. And that is, we should all put ourselves on a path of mutual flourishing amongst each other, rather than having to silence the opposition. And when you take that to its ultimate ends, it inevitably leads in hate and violence, which is tragedy.
Yeah. Let me just say this too, as we close this segment here. It's probably at least a few times a year, I'll have someone who will come to me and say, "Hey, your dad at the most difficult time of my life," because he during his 4 decades as a chaplain, would here in the Seattle area, would be there on scene when during the hardest times of someone's life, they lost a loved one or lost a child, a parent, a house. And it's still at least a few times a year, someone will say, your dad was there at the absolutely worst time of my life. And if he wasn't there, I don't know what it would have been like for me. And going back to your point, Greg, about how tough things happen in our life and they can turn around for good. And I think that's the great thing about this world, right? Is that we have tough things that happen and they can be used for good. And I think that's part of what we're remembering today, right? Is that good things can turn around.
Well said. Moving stuff, man. Thanks for sharing that story about your dad. Greg Tomlin, Tim Gatos in on the John Curley Show. Time to send it on over to Lori at the Real-Time Traffic Desk. We'll be right back.
And traffic is brought to you by Global Credit Union. And I have to say, Tim, I do remember your dad. I did work at it was KBIQ before it was KCMS. And then I'm familiar with his ministry, too. So that's really quite a legacy that he has left you. Seattle to Everett, an hour, 4 minutes. Seattle to Tacoma, 50 minutes right now. In 405 northbound, we've got the accident at 527 sitting in the left lane. Bellevue to Linwood, you're going to take about 12 minutes longer than usual. And Bellevue to Federal Way, 45-minute drive. Bellevue to Issaquah, 4 minutes slow down. And Highway 9 northbound right at 189th, we have an accident blocking a lane. Global Credit Union, where members enjoy no-fee accounts and early payday with direct deposit. Learn more at globalcu.org. I'm Lori, KIRO Real-Time Traffic.
KIRO News Radio, winner of 7 regional Edward R. Murrow Awards, including overall excellence and investigative reporting.
Just 29 hours later, Joshua Headley sent an unsolicited email to me writing, "I understand there may be a news story coming out."
Thank you who listen, stream, and watch every day. The driving force that pushes us to be the Northwest trusted news source. KIRO News Radio. 97.3 FM.
Download to see if you qualify. Not all customers will qualify. Transfer fees may apply. No Albert subscription required. Albert is not a bank. Albert Instant Loans are issued by FinWise Bank, member FDIC. Not an actual client. Terms apply.
Kylie, what's wrong? I just got hit with a car repair bill. I'm behind on rent, and I feel like I can never save any money.
Have you tried the Albert app? Albert is your financial assistant, helping you find ways to save and create custom budgets to actually grow your money. Plus, you can get up to $10,000 for big expenses, or advance up to $1,000 fast when you need cash right away.
Albert can get me up to $10,000?
Exactly. Albert spots you in a pinch and helps you grow your money in the long run.
I'm downloading Albert right now.
Download the Albert app and use promo code THRIVE to borrow up to $10,000 for whatever you need. The Albert app helps you budget better and save more money so you reach your financial goals faster. Download the Albert app right now and use promo code THRIVE to borrow up to $10,000. Use code THRIVE to borrow up to $10,000.
If you're looking to buy or sell a home in Washington, recent headlines might concern you. Talk of pocket listings or private networks where only certain consumers see certain properties are all over the media. Good news. The legislature recently passed a bill to protect you in your transaction. No secret deals, all listings available for everyone to see, not just an exclusive club of insiders. This means more competition, better offers, and fair access for all consumers. Learn more at warealtor.org, sponsored by Washington Realtors.
Digging in my yard, trying to lay a pipe. I hit a water line and now I have to pay a big fine. I should have called 811.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Will?
When I was 50, my whole life fell apart. I lost my job, I lost my wife, I lost the house, I lost pretty much everything except for my life. When the IRS came calling, I just didn't have it in me. I felt like Wile E. Coyote, just waiting for that IRS anvil to drop.
Then Will found tax relief advocates.
I heard their advertisement on the radio, I wrote down the number, and I made the call that changed everything. The IRS gave me a bill for $40,000. Tax relief advocates got that down to $3,200. I've paid 9 cents on the dollar. Now that's a great deal in anybody's book.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Will did and call TRA for a consultation.
But for me, the real win is I got my life back.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-488-2578. 800-488-2578. That's 800-488-2578.
If your home is 20 years old or more, it might be time to have your roof checked. Your roof is your home's first line of defense, and at Guardian, we help it last as long as possible. That's why every new install comes protected with a full year of free maintenance on us. Visit us at guardianroofing.com.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Support comes from Amazon Business. Free your team from time-consuming procurement tasks. Discover smart business buying where unmatched selection meets AI-driven tools to simplify complex processes so you can focus on what matters most. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Hartley here from Wilcox Farms. For over 100 years, my family's been committed to doing what's right. At Wilcox Family Farms, that means caring for our hens with healthy pasture environments and a diet of organic grains and flax seeds. It's how we produce eggs that are wholesome, flavorful, and good for you. Next time you're at an egg case in your local store, we hope you feel good about choosing Wilcox eggs. Wilcox Family Farms, locally fresh since 1909.
Experience the thrill of seeing orcas and humpback whales with Puget Sound Express. Join their family-run tours for guaranteed whale sightings departing daily from Edmonds. These are Seattle's most popular and well-reviewed whale tours. Book now at PugetSoundExpress.com.
Greg Tallman and Tim Gatos in on the John Curley Show.
So good to be back with you. You know, Greg, we were talking earlier about our city's response and homelessness and really how in a lot of ways we don't get to these root causes or talk about these root causes. And we were talking earlier about the ACE score, or which is called the Adverse Childhood Experience. And there's been significant studies that have been done around this that show that, and they have basically a score of 10 issues if you experience childhood trauma.
It's like abuse, neglect, household dysfunction, so on and so forth.
Yeah. And the correlation is off the charts when it comes to homelessness and high ACE scores. So and it's something that we don't really talk about. It's something our city doesn't talk about and that we need to really look at for these root causes. And I think one of the things that's interesting in this conversation that I'm torn on this a little bit in terms of the play out of this, because it's been known for a long time that the folks who work with the homeless, social service providers and case managers and counselors, the turnover rate in that job is unbelievably high. It is a high turnover rate, and the churn. And I think in some ways, if you're running a business and you have a very high turnover rate, what do you think that's going to do to your business? You're probably not going to be thriving. You're probably not going to be flourishing because you have such a high turnover rate, right? And we see this with social service providers and those that work with homeless. The interesting part about this when it comes to ACE is that for homeless workers, their average ACE score is 3, meaning they've experienced at least 3 out of the 10 traumatic events in their life. And 75% have had at least one. And it's almost the same score as the homeless on the streets. Now, there's a lot of ways we could parse this and look at this, but I think it makes sense to look at it and say, okay, in a lot of ways, we have those who have experienced trauma who are helping those experience trauma and trying to serve those people and get them off the streets and get them into a better place. In some ways, I think that's good, right? Because if I, and we were talking about that in the last segment, if I've experienced something and I've experienced certain suffering, I can help someone who's experienced the same suffering.
Right.
However, if you've been in trauma before in your life, right? If you've experienced triage and trauma, you can't help someone in that case, right? You really have to be really removed from that triage and that trauma, because it's, you're still right in the midst of it. And I think there's a question, and I'm curious your thoughts here. In this situation, should the trauma be helping those who have experienced the trauma?
It depends on, you used a few choice phrases in there. If you're still in the midst of trauma and haven't dealt with it in a healthy way to where you feel healed and recovered, and you're still sort of working out some of the demons, and there's degrees of that, right? Because in some respects, you never fully get over a trauma. You just deal with it. It's like you don't go over it, you go through it. But there are instances, like you said, where you have experienced trauma, you've come out on the other side of it, and you've developed the tools that you can then pass on to those who are in the thick of it right then and there. And so I don't know, it's kind of, you have to take it on a case-by-case basis. And what I keep coming back to from a city leadership governmental standpoint is, given things like the ACE scores that I do think are very telling when it comes to the homeless population, what type of power does the government have in these situations to get in there and address it with the tools they have? And again, I think a lot of the trauma comes from things like unstable families, certain value systems, and so on and so forth. And so it kind of comes down to family culture and healthy relationship dynamics and so on and so forth, which I don't know how much can government lean into those dynamics. Those seem to be more like on a personal level. Greg Tomlin, Tim Gatos in on the John Curley Show. Let's send it on over to Lori at the Real-Time Traffic Desk.
Well, we've got an hour drive right now, Seattle to Linwood, as well as Seattle to Tacoma. Bellevue to Everett, a 14-minute slowdown. And Federal Way to Bellevue, you're looking at 45 minutes. Still slow go Bellevue into Issaquah, costing you about a 4-minute slowdown. Both lake bridges, though, looking pretty good. And Highway 9 northbound at 189th Street Southeast, look out for an incident blocking a lane. I'm Lori, KIRO Real-Time Traffic.
What if you could have the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi? And get this, what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? During the Xfinity Summer Savings Event, now through June 15th, new customers can get our best price on gig Wi-Fi, just $50 a month for 5 years. And get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. It's Wi-Fi that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a sixth sense. Plus, add one line of Xfinity Mobile Select and you can save an average of $60 a month over Verizon and AT&T. You can even try it free for a year. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities during the Xfinity Summer Savings Event. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Savings based on 1 gig internet and 1 mobile select line compared to similar Verizon and AT&T plans over 5 years. After 12 months, regular rates apply to mobile select. Xfinity internet required. Speeds vary. Use of fiber coaxial cable.
Hey, you know Earthwise Salvage in Soto? That really cool place with all the amazing doors, windows, and other treasure? Great news! They just opened a brand new location nearby. The Salvage Lumber Warehouse is ready to serve as a central resource for contractors, builders, home DIYers, and hobbyist woodworkers, providing access to cleaned, denailed lumber ready for reuse. Flooring, beams, siding, mantles, live edge slabs, and so much more. All harvested from structures, not forests. Visit EWSalvage.com.
Summer's supposed to be fun. When the kids are home all day, the groceries, they add up fast. G. Scott here with a quick heads up from Safeway. There's a program called Sunbucks that gives qualifying families $120 per child for summer groceries. Some families are signed up automatically and will get a card in the mail. Others need to apply. Take a minute to check. It could really help put food on the table for your family. Head to freesummermeals.org to find out more. That's freesummermeals.org.
Do you get sinus infections, congestion, sinus pressure and pain, sinus headaches?
You've gone to the doctor. You visit urgent care over and over again. And it's always the same thing, right? Oh, I know. Let's try antibiotics and some nasal sprays. But they just keep coming back. You may suffer with chronic sinus infections. The good news? Relief is possible. How? A minimally invasive procedure called the Sinusoft procedure, available only at the Modern Nose Clinic. Imagine a procedure so delicate there are no narcotics. Less cutting means less bleeding, so no packing, and no operating room. The Sinusoft procedure is designed for the clinic. If you suffer with chronic sinus infections, facial pain, pressure, and congestion, find out if the Sinusoft procedure, available only at the Modern Nose Clinic, is the solution for you. Call and set an appointment today. 206-388-2770. 206-388-2770. That's 206-388-2770.
So what are you reading?
I'm checking out the ratings on the new TVs, and it looks like Samsung, LG, and Sony got the best scores.
Just like last year. What about those new high dynamic range TVs?
They got the highest scores of all, but their prices are really high.
Did you check online?
Yeah, their prices were about the same.
Well, there's one place where we can get a hot deal on those top-rated models.
Where?
At Video Only. Check out the ratings on TV stores.
I see. Video Only scored better than the others.
So, if you want the best deal on the best TVs,
then we should take our TV ratings and head over to top-rated Video Only.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or microwaves, but you will find the best deals on top-rated TVs, soundbars, and monitors. Shop around. Just make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
you'll be sorry.
In South Center, Bellevue, Linwood, Federal Way, and Tacoma, Video Only.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it today at carsforkids.org. Your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call 1-877-CARS4KIDS to donate your car today. That's Cars with a K.
ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. We're hearing this hour from U.S. Central Command that U.S. forces shot down 4 Iranian one-way drones fired at the Strait of Hormuz and then struck Iranian coastal surveillance radar sites in Gorak and Keshem Island in response. The latest government employment report showing employers added 172,000 jobs last month. But the prospect that stronger than expected jobs numbers could increase the odds of a Fed rate hike sent the stock market sharply lower, especially chip stocks. President Trump says the soon-to-be acting director of national intelligence, Bill Pulte, should cut positions at the Office of the Department of National Intelligence. President Trump on Air Force One.
I wouldn't mind. I've heard that's way too high for way too long. Yeah, I wouldn't mind. If he cut, I wouldn't mind that.
The Senate early today approving a $70 billion immigration enforcement package. The bill passed without an amendment to address the president's anti-weaponization fund. Now it's headed over to the House. This is ABC News. A Georgia law that impacts local elections in Atlanta is facing a legal challenge.
The law makes local races in 5 metro Atlanta counties nonpartisan, and DeKalb County District Attorney Sherry Boston says that violates the Constitution because it doesn't apply to every Georgia county.
If the legislature chooses to make these races nonpartisan, it should be everyone and not just Democratic DAs that represent the city of Atlanta.
If the measure is not thrown out by the courts, it will take effect in 2028. Jonathan O'Brien, ABC News, Atlanta.
The Chicago Bears are moving ahead with plans to build a new stadium in Hammond, Indiana. The organization's board of directors voted to advance the development project. The Bears chairman and CEO said that the team believes a world-class stadium project will transform the region. Indiana Governor Mike Braun extending a welcome from the Hoosier State. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Coming up, a big policy shift on World Cup surveillance cameras. That's after Lori at the real-time traffic desk.
Traffic is brought to you by the Seattle Mariners. Bellevue to Everett now a 14-minute slowdown. Federal Way to Bellevue will take you 45 minutes. And if you're heading from Bellevue into Issaquah, that's been slow all afternoon, about a 4-minute slowdown. Seattle to Linwood an hour, as well as Seattle to Tacoma. Both lake bridges are looking pretty good. And Highway 9 northbound at 189th, look out for an accident still blocking that left lane. Don't miss the fireworks nights all summer long presented by T-Mobile. The next show is June 19th. Get your tickets at mariners.com/fireworks. I'm Lori, KIRO Real-Time Traffic.
KIRO FM and HD1 Tacoma, Seattle. KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM. Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good evening. I'm Aaron Granillo. Seattle's mayor says credible threats have prompted her to turn those public safety cameras back on near the stadiums. KIRO News Radio's Jillian Raftery has more.
The threats were general, she said, but credible enough to meet Mayor Wilson's standard for turning the system back on. They had been off while the city conducts a privacy and security audit.
I couldn't be more excited and grateful.
Councilmember Rob Saka says those cameras should stay on.
The need didn't go away and won't go away, and the imperative won't go away after World Cup.
We've reached out to the mayor for more on that. Jillian Raftery for KIRO News Radio.
13-year-old boys behind bars tonight, suspected in the shooting death of a 17-year-old family member in South Seattle. At today's hearing, a judge found a probable cause for manslaughter and unlawful gun possession, calling the May 29th shooting beyond a tragedy and avoidable. Even the boy's own father asked the court to keep him detained, telling the judge the family still loves him dearly. Prosecutors expect a formal charging decision early next week. A group of neighbors in North Seattle will march block by block along Aurora Avenue tomorrow night. They want something done about the human trafficking and gunfire in the area. Peter Orr lives a few blocks off Aurora.
Drawing public attention, drawing more public support for public safety.
He says their community group has invited the mayor and their city council member, Deborah Juarez, to see for themselves. We've reached out to both of them to see if they'll join. Standoff is brewing in Seattle among those who oppose data centers and a business with firm plans to build a new one. Details from KIRO News Radio's Corwin Hake.
A company called Digital Realty has announced plans for a 6-story data center in Belltown, raising red flags among those who say data centers consume more electricity than the city can provide.
When I hear that there may be plans for hyperscale AI data centers that would guzzle up more megawatts of power, I take that to mean I will be the victim of more power outages.
Public comment to the Seattle City Council there as the council considers a 1-year data center moratorium. Corwin Hake, KIRO News Radio.
So your forecast now. Tonight, we'll see increasing clouds and showers as well. Tomorrow, an active Saturday with thunder, lightning, downpours at times, and gusty conditions. Right now, looking at cloudy skies and 62 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Tim Gatos, Craig Tomlin in for John Curley on the John Curley Show. We were talking earlier, making international headlines here in Seattle, Aurora Avenue. Gunfights, pimps cruising around residential streets, bullets going through babies' rooms, crazy stuff that you think we could get a handle on here in Seattle. Neighbors are saying, oh my gosh, what's going on? They brought planters out to create obstacles so the pimps couldn't drive through their streets. And our mayor's office said, hey, we'll just make some traffic calming type of scenarios where it makes it a little harder for the pimps to drive through rather than actually do anything and actually enforce the law. But we'll get into that in a second. So the neighbors said, you know what, we're going to do a little protest. Tomorrow night, Stop the Traffickers is a march up on Aurora Avenue. And it's at, they're going to meet at the Oak Tree Village at 8:30. Remember the old, the Oak Tree, some of the best movies I've ever seen right there, Oak Tree. But glow sticks, lights, bring homemade signs. Who should come? Neighbors, families, allies, victim advocates, friends from across the city, all are welcome. And to talk about it, Greg, we've got our former Seattle City Attorney, Ann Davison, who's helping with this and who lives in District 5, as well as one of the neighbors who is organizing this as well. Jake is his name. And so we want to welcome Jake and Ann Davison to the program. Thank you so much for joining us today. And maybe, Jake, we'll start with you. Tell us, why are you helping to put this event on tomorrow at 8:30 p.m.?
Yeah, unfortunately for me, it's personal. I say that I'm infamous for all the wrong reasons. I was the person whose house got shot right next to where my baby was sleeping. And so for me, it's about urgency and the city actually doing something quickly so that we can feel safe in our neighborhood, so that my house doesn't get shot. But it's not just me, it's all of our neighbors. And so that's why it's personal for me. But also we recognize that this problem is not just going to go away. I think oftentimes our city leadership just hopes and prays that it's just going to go away. But we've lived here for a long time and we know it's not just going to go away. And so we're banding together to try to make some changes that can actually help the victims of human trafficking, get the pimps off the street, and penalize the Johns that are filling the pockets of these pimps.
Jake, I don't know if I've been literally more baffled in my life when you all, the neighbors, put up these planters to create an obstacle for the pimps who are using it as a loop to drive around your street. And in the city, the mayor's office, Katie Wilson, they said, hey, you know what? You can't do that, which obviously we get, right? Because you've got, emergency vehicles. But the answer was, we're going to put in some kind of traffic calming measures as a compromise versus just saying, you know what? It's unacceptable to have pimps running and ruling the streets and having gunfights in the middle of Seattle. What was your response when that was, their response? That was like the compromise. Hey, we're just going to go ahead and put some traffic calming measures in.
Yeah, I mean, it really just shows you how reactive this administration is, and the fact that the only action that they're willing to take in our neighborhood in District 5 along the Aurora corridor is an action that actually hurts the neighbors. So neighbors got pushed so far that they actually blocked these streets. And the only action that Mayor Wilson and her administration took was to open up those streets. And, the horrible anecdote is that less than 48 hours after Mayor Wilson specifically directed SDOT to open 102nd Avenue and Aurora, there was a shooting less than 50 feet from a daycare about 3 blocks in from where that barrier was. While the barrier was up, there were 0 shootings in our neighborhood. And so to your point, it's baffling that the only action that the city is willing to take are actions that are actively hurting the neighborhood.
And former Seattle City Attorney Ann Davison is here with us in studio as well. You'll be taking part in the march tomorrow night, Stop the Traffickers, Stop the Bullets. Apart from just continuing to raise awareness about what's going on in Aurora, what are the specific demands right now neighbors are making, and what are the clear action steps, in your opinion, that need to be taken here to start to solve this problem before innocents perish in one of these awful shootings here, God forbid?
Well, I just want to say thank you for Jake stepping up there amongst his neighbors. It is to be commended. He doesn't do so lightly. He's a father of a new child. Clearly, if anyone's listening and has had a child, you want to focus on other things than this. But I'm going to go ahead and reiterate a statement he made to me, which was, we all cope with our stress in different ways, and this is how he's coping with it. So I'm supporting Jake and what the neighbors want, and so if I can provide any suggestions that might be of assistance, I have no personal agenda in it as to whether or not these things are pursued or not. One of which is I agree that maybe you ask the mayor to call the governor and say, call in the National Guard while we have FIFA here. Why do we not have supplemental enforcement action that is available? State Patrol, it's a state highway. Why do we not have backup while we know officers while we're down with officers, and they're going to be down at World Cup events. Why do we not have additional resources up in the north end while that's happening? We have an anti-trafficking law on the books passed in 2024 that's specifically for buyers, for the Johns and the pimps. That should be used because it's just inexcusable to not use a law that is specifically designed for that area to help say to people, you've been told not to come, you come, that equals a criminal act, and that's very easy to prove, and then we can prosecute you, a gross misdemeanor, up to 364 days in jail. I think this neighborhood would be happy to have some of those people gone into jail for over 300 days.
Was it ever this bad when you were serving as city attorney? And what do you think has cascaded this into the point to where it is right now? Has it just been a slow trickle or a slow boil?
Well, I'm certainly not going to assume to know all the answers to that question, as everyone is listening. I did attend the North Precinct Police Advisory Council on Wednesday evening. I'll note there was no city elected person in the room. There were some state lawmakers, to their credit. But yes, acknowledging it's been going on for a long time. Okay, period. Right. Meanwhile, Jake and his family and many others are there. So I think that when we were using the law that was put there by our city council by a vote of 8-1 and signed by the mayor in 2024, I do think that we were seeing a reduction in that. I think that it was showing it was a deterrent. The reason that there were no prosecutions of the violations of the stay out of that area was because the people were not coming back in to the zone. They were, in fact, staying away. It does show it was a deterrent because we did hear from Portland police that they were seeing an increase down there. And when they asked what was going on, they were told Seattle's not messing around anymore. So when we get the word on the street that we enforce our law and we come to, we mean business, I think that that is going to encourage those people to stop and to deter. And we need every aspect that we can to deter. I think there should be a mobile police precinct there. And I do think we should have the NCI team, which is a Department of Corrections officer, pairs with the Seattle police officer, and they go on that route. And then if somebody's got warrants, which inevitably there's going to be some of those people who do, they can then get people on that.
You mentioned you went to the North Precinct Advisory SPD meeting. What did the city say at that meeting?
I'm not really quite sure.
You're not sure?
And I do sound sarcastic when I say that, but it was no strategy, and I did not feel hopeful, and it was kind of frightening to hear a lot of speak, but really no concrete answers. And that was from the mayor's office. The public safety advisor predominantly spoke.
Why do you think that's the case? Why do you think they were just, I guess, apparently not communicating anything? Why?
I don't think they have a strategy. I don't think that they know what to do. I mean, It's consuming to get ready for FIFA, as it should be, right? We should have had the cameras on long before now. We should be using every tool that we have available to help deter criminal activity, is just how I see things. Yeah. So there was no answer. I will say there was something put forward I think it's important for listeners to understand that if you were in that meeting or if you watched that YouTube of that meeting, which is already out from that group, that there was talk of using what's called an ERPO, which is an extreme risk protection order, which has been in existence in our state law since 2016. And its design is for domestic violence situations, someone who has mental health crises, someone who threatens to do like a mass shooting. And the only people who can petition for an extreme risk protection order is a family or household member or a law enforcement officer. And then you go and petition the court. And because you're interfering with the Second Amendment constitutional right to a firearm, we have to give notice to people that might be in the house, et cetera. That's not for pimps.
Yeah.
That is not for pimps.
Yeah.
And that was the solution that was was suggested.
Wow. Jake, our city is designed where we elect city council members by district so that we have specific district council members who are advocating for our districts. What are you hearing from Deborah Juarez, who's the District 5 Seattle City Council member?
Yeah, this is a pretty sore subject for me, candidly. We previously had Kathy Moore, who was a really solid rep for the district. Of course, it's a hard job. It's a huge district, but she was making progress. She responded. She came out to the community. Deborah Juarez took over her seat through the end of this year, and she hasn't been present. She didn't even show up to this advisory committee. She didn't show up to the walk that we did with the mayor. She didn't even send a rep. So the neighbors are quite upset with the fact that we're not feeling represented by our councilperson.
I'm honestly just like kind of in shock right now. I mean, we're talking about one of the most severe, significant. I live in District 5, okay, and this is one of the most prolific issues that I can recall of being a resident of District 5, with what you're experiencing, with gunfights happening every night. And the fact that our city council member, this is my city council member, is not present and not available and not doing anything and is not responding, doesn't even send a staff member. That is, to me, I'm sorry, that's unconscionable.
Yeah, I totally agree. Some people handle stress and trauma with jokes, and our neighbors have started to call her Deborah Where Is, because we have no idea where she is or what she's doing for District 5. Oftentimes what we hear is that we just need to look to the future, look to the next batch of candidates that are vying for her seat. And that's kind of similar to what we're hearing from the city as well. It's like, oh, well, you need to work on HB 1265, which is the bill that criminalizes Johns, which didn't get through the state this past year. But that doesn't start until the fall. And, I can't just sit and do nothing while bullets go into my neighbor's house, while 14-year-olds are trafficked on Aurora Avenue. That's not something I can just sit and wait for the next cycle. That's an emergency. That's urgent. That requires urgent leadership from our city, not just Deborah Juarez, who's I don't know where she is, but also from our mayor.
Jake, is there a point where you say enough is enough? I mean, the barricades go up to try to keep neighbors in the neighborhood safe. Bullets fly within feet of your infant. Is there a time where you put your hands up and say, we're out of here? This is too much. We've stayed too long. My family can't take this risk anymore. I mean, what are your options? I mean, have you thought about getting out of town? Have you thought about, we're going to move because of all this stuff? It's just too insane.
Yeah. Talking to the community, what they tell me is if they're a renter, they're already on their way out of this area. If they're living here, they want to move, but it's not that easy to move. A lot of people don't have the financial ability to move. When people ask me that question, what I say is that I'm going to fight so hard to make my neighborhood a safe place to live, or I'm going to move. But I don't want to move. I want to live in Seattle. I love this city. I love my neighborhood. It just gets very scary and dangerous at night. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, that's an understatement, Jake. My goodness. So, and Jake, it's tomorrow. The march is Stop the Traffickers, Stop the Bullets. Saturday, June 6th, 8:30 to 10:30 p.m. Some might be, here listening, and they're saying, I don't know if I want to come up there at 8:30 at night. What would you say to them?
We absolutely show up there at night. I mean, I have chills listening to you, Tim, and to Jake, because this is not politics. This is so serious, and I don't understand why people are playing politics with public safety. This is about what are the sensible things to do that you have available to do when this is what you have allowed to transpire in a neighborhood. Criminal enterprise, trafficking girls and women, predominantly of color, and men making money at it. And I don't understand. I will highlight, we as a city became a city that we designate as a human rights city. I did some research with former council member Moore. I mean, she's supportive, helping as well. As Jake said, like, people still think she's well respected. She's helped. She shows up. She's going to be there tomorrow night. I mean, like, where is Deborah? I don't understand. And we designated that. And in that, we were also, in that it talks about the Convention Against the Discrimination Against Women, which in Article 6 of that talks about you take all measures, including legislation, to suppress all forms of traffic in women and exploitation of prostitution of women. And then we also, in that, is for the Convention on the Rights of the Child. So it doesn't get more plain than this. My kid was taking his driving lesson, his driver's ed on Aurora, and is like, Mom, yeah, there's all these women with no clothes on. Great. Like, this impacts generations, even if they're just observers. And then you talk about Jake and his family and other families in that neighborhood where their lives can be at risk. We do show up tomorrow night.
Yeah.
We do show up.
So it's tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. to 10:30, Oak Tree Village, which is 102nd and Aurora. Mm-hmm. And this is the Oak Tree Plaza parking. Who should come? Neighbors, families, allies, victim advocates, friends from across the city. All are welcome. Bring glow sticks, lights, homemade signs. That's tomorrow. Greg, any final
from
thoughts?
Across the region. It should not just be the people in Seattle. We saw that awful Seattle Times article where a girl was brought over from Bellevue. This is the region. It is people they are trafficked from around the region. It is not just the city of Seattle, Tim.
Yeah, former Seattle City Attorney Ann Davison, Aurora resident Jake, thank you so much for your time. All I can say listening to these stories is hear, and keep up the good fight. This is a nonpartisan issue, and it's fundamental, and it's so basic, and it just makes you want to hit your head against the wall that a lot of city leaders seem eerily quiet on this. Greg Tomlin and Tim Gatos in on the John Curley Show. Time to send it on over to Lori at the Real-Time Traffic Desk.
And traffic is brought to you by D.R. Horton. Southbound I-5 in the U District, a collision in the left lane causing a 5-minute slowdown, Linwood to Seattle. 54 minutes, Bellevue to Everett. Federal Way to Bellevue, 45 minutes. And if you're heading into Issaquah, still looking at a 4-minute slowdown from Bellevue. SeaTac to Tacoma, under an hour at 47 minutes. Still have a collision, Highway 9 northbound at 180th in the left lane, and 16 pretty heavy from the west end of the bridge into Gig Harbor, and then eastbound from 302. Northbound 5 closes tonight starting at 9 p.m. from I-90 to 45th, and that goes all the way through Monday at 5 a.m. Looking for the best deal on a new home? Discover the D.R. Horton Home of the Week. Visit drhorton.com and schedule your tour today. D.R. Horton, America's builder and equal housing opportunity builder. I'm Lori, KIRO, Real-Time Traffic.
Choke Points with Chris Sullivan.
With Choke Points, we try to answer listeners' questions. It can be as simple as a neighborhood stop sign, or it can be as big as the budget for transportation. I don't care. I'll find the answer for you. It's really easy to get a hold of me at mynorthwest.com. We have a direct link there that gets right to me. You can also do it in the app. You can hit me up on the text line.
Choke Points, presented by Carter Subaru. Tuesdays and Thursdays on KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
From the people who brought you It's the Dog Park comes.
Your dog is limping, but she seems fine. Plus, you've heard they can fake it just to get what they want. So what's the deal now? You're being gaslit.
Protect your dog from injury and illness with Progressive Pet Insurance.
Oh, now she switched legs. What a diva.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Covered subject to policy terms.
Don't wait. Insulate. Last year, American Crawl Space and Pest Services gave over $2 million in insulation rebates from PSE, more than any provider in the state. If your home was built before 1990, you're eligible for recouping up to 95% of insulation replacement costs. Insulate with American Crawl Space and keep your home warm during the winter and cool during the summer.
American Crawl, the heroes you call.
You've probably heard all those ads for life insurance. Just a few dollars a day, apply online in minutes, no medical exam. Simple, easy, and cheap, right? Now you're thinking, maybe I should get a quote. Well, smart thinking. Everyone should have life insurance. But here's what they don't tell you. Those few dollars a day rates, they're for young people in perfect health. That's why everyone calls Big Lou the 50 to 60-year-old not-so-perfect candidate. Like you. You take prescription meds, and you're overweight. Winner, winner, fried chicken dinner. Well, Big Lou works with life insurance companies that want people like you, with no surprises after you apply. In fact, if you're a 50-year-old guy with a few health glitches, Lou could probably find you $1 million of term life coverage for about $200 a month. So yeah, you need life insurance. But unless you're young and healthy, you gotta call Big Lou, because he's like you, older, heavier, and on meds too. Get a quote right now at 800-345-2789. 800-345-2789 or biglou.com.
Running a small business means juggling a lot. Your network has to handle it all. That's where a fiber-only provider falls short. You deserve a partner who gives you a greater advantage. Introducing the Total Solutions Advantage only from Comcast Business. A first-ever combination of the largest, fastest fiber-powered network, the most reliable Wi-Fi, gig speeds with equipment and security included, and a 5-year price lock. Plus, it's all backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. The Total Solutions Advantage only from Comcast Business. A new standard for small business with reliability, security, and savings in one. When you add it all up, no one does business like Comcast Business.
Switch today. Get started for $60 a month for 12 months when you add an advanced solution to a qualifying internet package. Limited time offer. New customers only. Requires 300 megabits per second internet, security edge, and additional qualifying service. 1-year agreement, paperless billing, and autopay with bank account required. Taxes and fees extra. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA Fixed Broadband Experience Report, May 2025.
Are you curious about who offers the best deals on top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs? The answer is surprising. It's not online, and it's not the warehouse clubs. The best deals on top-rated TVs are at Video Only. Don't believe it? Then check out the trade-in deals at Video Only. How about $500 for your old TV? Try doing that online. Before you buy that new TV, drop into Video Only. If you don't, you'll be sorry.
Support comes from Amazon Business. You can't rely on guesswork to run your business. With Smart Business Buying, innovative AI tools optimize your purchasing experience, paired with delivery options built for business. Empower your team today. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots, he scores!
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
Power your drive with Mobil 1 motor oil. Buy 5 quarts, get $15 back, and score a fast and furious prize after rebate at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good evening. I'm Aaron Granillo. Leaders at the King County Regional Homelessness Authority answering questions following that audit found $13 million in overspending and mismanaged funds. KIRO News Radio's Corbin Hake reports the agency says no fraud took place.
We have 100% clean records on every penny we've spent.
Addressing a Seattle City Council committee, William Towie with the KCHRA presents a corrective action plan for the agency's survival. And Michael Pickett with the nonprofit Fair Start tells the committee it can be saved.
They've got areas they need to improve. What I would urge all of you to do is to help them, advocate for them, and hold them accountable.
Late this summer, the Seattle Mayor's Office may recommend the 5-year-old agency be dismantled. Corwin Hake, KIRO News Radio.
Members of Iran's World Cup soccer team have been cleared to enter the United States. The squad received U.S. visas, allowing them to cross from their training base in Tijuana, Mexico. Iran plays 2 matches in California before facing Egypt here in Seattle on June 26th. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg's super yacht has been spotted again in Washington.
The Everett Herald reports the 387-foot yacht known as Launchpad was moored near the Port of Everett Friday morning. Last week, it turned up in Lake Union and Elliott Bay, according to GeekWire. That was right after about 1,400 Meta employees here in Washington found out they were being laid off.
KIRO News Radio's Frank Lindsay. June gloom has officially arrived. Lightning, gusty winds, downpours, they are all on the menu this weekend. National Weather Service puts Saturday's storm chances to 35% from Snohomish County to the South Sound. Meteorologist Matthew Cullen.
So with these storms, we'll see showers across the area. With the strongest storms, we'll see some lightning, some gusty winds out of those, as well as the bursts of heavy rain.
Snow levels also dip to 4,500 feet in the Cascades. The passes should stay clear. More rain in the forecast for next week. Now to the real-time traffic desk. Here's Lori.
Traffic is brought to you by Home Comfort Alliance. Southbound 5 in the U District, a collision in the left lane causing a 5-minute slowdown. Linwood to Seattle. Federal Way to Bellevue is a 45-minute drive, and 54 minutes Bellevue to Everett. We're still seeing a slowdown Bellevue to Issaquah, just about 4-minute delay. SeaTac to Tacoma, under an hour at 47 minutes. Highway 9 northbound at 180th. It does look to me like that collision is cleared, but still seeing a pretty big slowdown. And both directions of 16 slow into Gig Harbor. And again, northbound I-5 closing this evening, starting at 9 p.m. from I-90 to 45th all the way through Monday morning. Summer's fast approaching. Get a quote for new air conditioning system on your phone in just 60 seconds from Home Comfort Alliance. Visit homecomfortalliance.com now. I'm Lori, KIRO, real-time traffic.
And now to your forecast. We will see increasing clouds for tonight, along with showers on the way across much of the region. Tomorrow, more widespread rain activity, including some thunderstorms and gusty winds. Right now, 59 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Greg Tomlin and Tim Gatos in on the John Curley Show. This hour brought to you by Wilcox Family Farm Eggs. And Andrew, I got some tasty Wilcox Family Farm Eggs at Costco the other day, 2 dozen. And my pro tip recipe is, I'm pretty basic. Just a little scramby eggs with pepper jack cheese, though. That's my pro move. Just a couple ingredients, and it'll delight your taste buds in the moment.
Teeny likes it.
Teeny loves it.
Yeah.
And I had to mention to you, Tim, we better wrap up this show because I'm due for cocktails over at Zuckerberg's mega yacht.
Yeah, there we go.
Right outside Seattle.
Yeah.
Have you seen pictures of that thing?
That's pretty
It's
sweet.
like bigger than a Washington State ferry almost.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Well, I tell you, if you're heading downtown, you're going to keep bumping up those numbers because some good news for downtown Seattle. Some of the new numbers that have just gotten released from our 16 biggest kind of a downtown attractions show significant increases in downtown visits. Everything from the Pacific Science Center to Climate Pledge Arena and T-Mobile Park. There's a lot of good news that just got released. Joining us to talk about it, Craig Schaefer, the owner of Hotel Andra, in at the market. Craig, how we doing, man?
Hey, Tim. Been a long time.
I know. I was just hanging with you at Lola last night. That was fun. Thanks for the fries and the kebabs. That was good.
Yeah, it was good to catch up. And it's nice to when Curly goes away because you actually bring me on because he used to have me on all the time. And I got black.
I can change that, Craig. I can change that.
I love it. Well, what do you make of this news that just came out, just got released? We were talking about this last night. What do you think?
Yeah, well, it's not surprising to me because this is sort of what I watch all the time. I'm downtown every day and I see what's going on. So it's great to see it out there because as you know, we talk about naysayers, Seattle's dying and all of these things. And so we've got to get the statistics out there. And this was interesting because it was basically local tourists, right? Yeah, I had to look at it again for a second because I know that our tourism numbers from out of town are up, right? But I didn't, when I look at for local, I thought that was a good story because that's kind of where if there's any negativity about Seattle and downtown and things like that, it usually is coming from somebody that lives in the area. So, no, it's awesome. The waterfront piece, we've talked about that, and that is, and this is just matures with the vegetation and plantings and all of that stuff, and the aquarium gets some patina on it. And then you got the LA Bay Connection, which just tops it off. And I was down there a week ago and took the walk, and it's really stunning. It's amazing in some ways what you can do. And I know 70 whatever million is a lot of money, but you look at it in respect to what it actually accomplished, and that that it was private money from people local. It's fantastic, and it's good because what I see is people coming downtown, they're always going straight over to the waterfront for the most part, in a lot of cases. So
how do you determine, I mean, you have a lot of kind of metric points, I'm sure, over the years, and you've been doing this a long time, that you see in terms of the health or the vitality. I mean, you have your own, the hotels, and you have those metrics. Then we see metrics like this, and then you have the anecdotal. I mean, you're out on the streets and you kind of see the vitality on the streets. What are the ways and the things that you look at and kind of determine, okay, we're back. Downtown Seattle is back.
Well, and I won't say it's back, right? I mean, if you say what's back from pre-pandemic or what, things have changed for sure, and that the pandemic sort of keeps on giving in terms of the things that changed life for people, and that the work from home thing is probably, in my opinion, the biggest impact on the city, where you've got a 37% vacancy rate. The world has kind of shifted in terms of the proximity to the action in terms of towards South Lake Union a little bit more, but so what it did is it sort of wiped out some retail, and we're starting to see pockets of that coming back. When they did the waterfront construction, $100 million was earmarked for the Pike Pine corridor. You might not be able to see it all, but they keep enhancing that location added onto the convention center. So, but when I walk, what I try to do is I walk in the places downtown where I know that it still needs help. We have a ways to go. Third Avenue is Third Avenue. I mean, it's a transit corridor, and that's going to be an issue about it in terms of its revitalization. But I'll go Third Avenue and I walk down Pike and Pine, and so that's where I kind of get a feeling for incrementally there has been progress, and there's coming more. I mean, I'll tell you today, Tim, I was walking downtown and I saw these guys on bikes, and I thought from a distance that they were SPD. And when they came closer, I could see they were unarmed, but they had security vests on. But basically, they almost looked like SPD. And what I realized, and I talked to Chief Barnes about this, some time ago, that one of the things that he instituted was getting these folks that are going through the academy but haven't been completely certified and out there on their own, and so they're unarmed, but they look very official, and they're learning the routes, they're learning the area, and it's called Before the Badge, right? So it's something that they go for training and things like that. So when you see things like that happening, we're moving, in a very positive direction. We got work to do, but that kind of stuff makes me happy.
Craig, before his mayoral tenure concluded at the end of 2025, Bruce Harrell did complete some major phases of the downtown activation plan. I don't necessarily want to get you on the record with politics or anything here, but do you think that has had a tangible, a positive effect on what we've seen in downtown? And again, this story today about the return of locals and people in the Seattle area kind of coming back to visit?
Yeah, I do. I worked with, Bruce on a number of those things. A lot of it was aesthetic, right? And so that's a piece of the activation. When I say aesthetic, I mean where you're talking about, some of these vacant storefronts where they try to activate on street level, things like that. Like I said, the pipeline improvement. I will tell you though, is everything in this, well, it moves too slow. I know that people are trying to do the right thing and good things, but I'm chomping at the bit to see that move faster. So yeah, Mayor Harrell did his part. And I know that Mayor Wilson has met with a number of people in the hospitality community. And she has stated that one of her top priorities in terms of downtown is Pike Pine. So she's saying that, how that all rolls out and so forth. So more police officers, cleaner streets, the mid guys, under the DSA. I mean, they do a hell of a job. I think, Tim, you've seen them out there. They keep the streets clean, and they're out there, and they've also moved to 3rd and Pine. That just last week.
Yeah. But talk about World Cup here in the last couple minutes. We've got you. Okay. Obviously, that's coming. It's exciting. A lot of people are just they're fired up about it. There was some certain headlines early that was like, oh man, these are going to be 6 Super Bowls, 750,000 people that are going to be here. From your perspective, as running and owning hotels downtown, what are you seeing? Is it turning out well? I know you had mentioned, FIFA had, kind of a hold on a lot of rooms, and that kind of put things in an interesting perspective.
Yeah, no, you're right, and I think I'll just say this: this FIFA. In this tournament, it wasn't a test, but it's very different in terms of how it's geographically spread. So I think everybody they were making assumptions about what they thought was going to happen in each one of these cities. And FIFA put room blocks in a lot of the cities and basically pulled those because they didn't see the demand. Now, why is that? There's a lot of factors in that, but I will say that their booking window is very short. And just within the past week, we have seen reservations coming in, and I talked to the guys that own the big boxes here. They're feeling much, much better than they were just even 10 days ago. So it may not be this gangbusters crazy thing, but the point is there's going to be a lot of people here, and the downtown's going to be super active. I've got that feeling. The other thing is our occupancy might be a little bit lower, but the average number of guests per room is higher. So when you talking about people on the streets, it's going to be exciting.
More people bunking up, huh?
More people bunking up. I just look. Well, you got kids and you got so yeah, it's cool. And there's a viewing spots and all that other stuff. I think it's going to be, we kind of a sigh of relief because a couple, 3, 4, 5 weeks ago, it was really hard visibility in terms of see what was going to happen.
Yeah. Craig Schaefer, owner of Hotel Andra and In at the Market. 2 places, if you've never been, I mean, these are unbelievable places to come check out. Do like a staycation this summer and check one of those places out. Craig, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you for having me, Tim. Good to talk. We'll catch up sometime.
Sounds good. Tim Gatos, Greg Tomlin in on the John Curley Show. We'll take a quick break, but we're going to throw it over to Lori at the real-time traffic desk.
Northbound I-5 slows through the U districts, then from Mount Lake Terrace all the way to about 128th and South Everett, making your drive Seattle to Everett 51 minutes. 167 stop and go from Renton all the way into Puyallup. I'm Lori, KIRO Real-Time Traffic.
You bought an RV, and you got an automatic discount from Progressive by bundling it with your home or auto insurance. That's great, but a serious word of warning every RVer should heed. You don't need to talk about things like dry weight or dump stations. And you don't need one of those expensive water filter straws either. Because the most extreme thing most RVers encounter is a campsite without hookups. So just enjoy yourself. And Progressive's automatic discount when you bundle your RV, boat, or motorcycle with your home or auto insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-895-1414. That's 800-895-1414.
It started as a puddle.
Where?
In the shower.
Uh-oh.
Then the kitchen sink.
Started backing up?
Yeah.
I know where this is going.
Clogged up.
Right. No problem.
Beg your pardon?
There's no clog we can't clear.
You're Dan.
From Apollo Plumbing.
This is going to get pricey.
How about $83?
To clear my drain?
Apollo Plumbing clears main drains every day.
For $83?
$83 or it's free.
What's the catch?
No catch. We'll even do a camera inspection.
Why's that?
It's the best way to find the cause of your clog.
And it's included?
No extra charge. Truth is, we hate clogs.
I don't love them.
Seen them all.
Ew.
I promise. There's no clog Apollo can't clear.
Guaranteed.
83 or free.
Goodbye, slow drains.
All it takes is an accessible clean out.
And Apollo gets my drains draining again.
You call, we come, it's fixed.
My heroes.
Just doing our job.
Thank you, Apollo Plumbing.
ApolloPlumbing.com.
Are you a homeowner, 62 or older, and realize that your Social Security and other income may not carry you through your retirement years? Have you ever thought about a reverse mortgage? Hey, Brock Hewitt here for my friends at Tila Mortgage, a local company serving Washington residents for 30 years. And if you want to know how a reverse mortgage works or have questions like, are reverse mortgages safe? Will I still own my home? Or do I really have the option of not making monthly mortgage payments? Call Tila for a no-pressure conversation. They'll answer your questions with personalized recommendations and loan options that can safely help you improve your monthly cash flow, increase your available income, pay off debt, or make home improvements. Call Tila today. Tila, spelled T-I-L-A, is a name you can trust for truthful, honest, and ethical advice for all your mortgage needs. Call 206-766-8888. That's 206-766-8888 or
Insurance and property taxes are borrower's responsibility. Tila Mortgage LLC is a mortgage broker. NMLS 2472046.
Endless hours of research, seeking referrals, dozens of calls. Hiring the right attorney can be a challenging process during an already difficult time. JP Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains.
In Washington State, Tom, there are thousands of attorneys to choose from. Referrals and online research can be helpful, but discovering the right attorney requires a conversation. It can be hard to identify integrity and authenticity without that interaction.
So, what do you recommend?
We encourage anyone looking for personal injury representation to call for a free consultation with our team before making a decision simply based on referrals or online research. Accident victims need an attorney that listens, demonstrates honesty, and is genuinely understanding of their unique circumstances. The care, attention, and preparation that our firm provides throughout the case mirrors the effort involved when taking on the insurance companies.
Save time and avoid mistakes after an injury. Contact the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you've been sitting in traffic long enough to finish a podcast and question your life choices, it's time to flip your trip. Ride transit. Find a park and ride or roll past stress on a bike or scooter. Free yourself from traffic jams at flipyourtrip.org.
Get more baseball for your buck with Mariners value options. Tickets for less than $12 to select games all season and the biggest ever value menu and beer lineup, featuring 36 items and available every game. Check it out at mariners.com/value.
Guys, it's Men's Health Month at Revive Seattle. Get a free comprehensive wellness panel. It checks your testosterone, blood sugar, heart health, and more. Valued at $400. Offer ends June 30th. Call 206-529-1111 or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
The John Curley Show mailbag is brought to you by Advanced Hair Restoration.
Greg Tomlin and Tim Gatos on the John Curley Show. Time for the letters, the mailman, and Jesse texted in. Earlier we were talking about the anniversary of the RFK assassination in 1968. We learned that Tim, your dad was there standing behind Robert Kennedy just moments before he was killed. You can find the pictures online. Ken Gatos. Jesse writes in, very cool. Please thank Tim for sharing that story about his dad.
Yeah, thanks, Jesse. And Carla in the 425 says, love the story about his dad. That name sounds so familiar. I may have listened to him. Yeah, you may have. Thanks,
he was on radio here in the Northwest for years, you said?
Mm-hmm.
On the issue of Mayor Katie Wilson, a mayoral candidate, Spencer Pratt in L.A., and the homeless issue, 206 writes in, not sure which one of you just made my day, but thank you for calling out Katie Wilson regarding homelessness. I'm a mom whose 40-something son would score high on the ACE, ACE. Heartbreaking, but trauma is real. Thank you again. And again, the ACE score, Tim, is what?
Yeah. Adverse childhood experiences.
Yep, there it is.
Yep. And Layla says, I'm a business owner downtown between Pike and 3rd Avenue. 99.9% of people out there are drug addicts. The real homeless people are not downtown. They have jobs, and at night they're sleeping in cars and nobody can see them. They're camouflaged amongst all of us.
Okay, and Shannon Nabothel says, Spencer Pratt did not say he would ship all the homeless addicts to Seattle. He said they would go to Seattle. Okay, good. You got me on that one. That's true.
Yeah. Devin Bothell, true, most of these homeless people are drug addicted or not getting their psychological or mental health issues addressed by King County.
And now it's time for Letter of the Day. Sean in Arlington. Great segment, guys, about RFK Jr., your dad, Tim, and taking that dish served to you by life and transforming it into something better. I think of that as transmuting, and we can all learn quite a bit about how to navigate the human experience from your dad, Tim. Thanks, guys. Great show, by the way.
Yeah,
that was kind of a theme today. I mean, to put it crudely, life gives you lemons, you turn it into lemonade, but it's more profound than that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Greg, a pleasure as always. Let's do it again sometime.
Good times, Tim. And thanks, Joe, Andrew, Lori over at the Real Time Traffic Desk. It's been a pleasure working with you all today. Stick around. We'll be right back. First, let's send it on over to you, Lori. How's it going?
Well, Seattle to Everett now is about 51 minutes. You're going to slow through the U District and from Mount Lake Terrace all the way to 128th in South Everett. Southbound slows from Lake City Way into downtown. 405 northbound slows from Bellevue to Kirkland, and then 522 all the way to I-5, and that's where you're going to see a southbound 405 slow down from I-5 to 527. 167 pretty much stop and go from Renton to Puyallup, and South 5 backing up from South Center past Joint Base Lewis McChord and Federal Way to Tacoma. Right now, you're going to see about a 6-minute delay. I'm Lori, KIRO Real-Time Traffic.
Hey, John, why don't you tell everybody why you started going to Longevity Medical Clinic?
No, I don't want to do that. I can tell you, I started going to Longevity Medical Clinic before I started doing these commercials, but that why I went is not important.
Oh, it absolutely is.
Okay. I'll tell you. I was a Sammamish City Council member, and whenever they had asked me to do the Pledge of Allegiance, I couldn't make it through the whole thing without crying. I know, it's so dumb. I mean, I know I'm patriotic, but what the heck? So I go into Longevity Medical Clinic, and I explained this to them, that there's something wrong with my hormones or something, and they see the testosterone and the estrogen are all out of balance. We balance all that stuff, and I can do the Pledge of Allegiance without crying. But I've also noticed that I deal with stress a lot better, don't I?
Yes, you're a lot easier to live with because you're getting more sleep, you have more energy, you're better organized, and I'm not helping you look for your car keys every morning.
Right, because now I've taken the steps to take care of my mind and body. I strongly recommend anybody get the free health analysis at lmclinic.com. That's lmclinic.com.
So, how's your research going?
Surprising. After I figured out the top-rated TVs in our price range, I went shopping for deals.
And who's the best?
It wasn't the internet, and it wasn't the warehouse club.
But
it was video only. They had better deals on the Samsung, LG, and the Sony TVs that got the highest scores.
better than online and at the club?
I know! Video only beat them all. And now we can afford an even better model for the same price. My research really paid off.
If we buy it video only.
Exactly. Otherwise, we'll be sorry.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or microwaves, but you will find the best deals on top-rated TVs, soundbars, and monitors. Shop around. Just make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
you'll be sorry.
In South Center, Bellevue, Linwood, Federal Way, and Tacoma, Video Only.
What would you do if the person you love needed round-the-clock care and you had no plan to pay for it?
I was very worried about running out of money.
When Mike's wife was diagnosed with dementia, he turned to LifePoint Law and Elder Law attorney Rajiv Nagayich.
And then he said, you're going to be okay, but we have to get through these steps. Then I felt a whole lot better going into it. It was still a very difficult process, but in the end, I knew that there was someone there that if I needed help, understood what I'm going through.
LifePoint Law helped Mike protect his wife, his finances, and his future.
They laid it out really well up front. They give you a very in-depth plan. There are so many things that you don't know. I could never have done it on my own.
Register for a free LifePoint Law retirement planning seminar in Tacoma on June 4th, Mukilteo on June 6th, Lacey on June 9th, or Bellevue on June 13th. 6:30 p.m. Space is limited. Sign up at lifepointlaw.com. That's lifepointlaw.com.
Welcome to this week's Puget Sound Express Whale Report. According to naturalists from Puget Sound Express, Biggs orcas and humpback whales are the story this week. The T65A family of Biggs orcas are hunting seals, sea lions, and porpoises. From Hood Canal to Port Orchard to the Strait of Juan de Fuca, this family seems to be everywhere. Migrating humpbacks are in the area as well, with Orion and Graphite wowing guests on recent tours with breaches and tail lobbing. Family-run Puget Sound Express offers half-day and full-day guaranteed whale-watching tours departing from Edmonds. These tours are Seattle's most popular and well-reviewed whale tours. Their new full-day tour includes a 2-hour stop on San Juan Island. Orcas, humpbacks, gray whales, minke whales, and so much more. Don't miss out on your chance to see whales in the wild. Family-run Puget Sound Express guarantees you'll see whales or your next trip is absolutely free. Book online at PugetSoundExpress.com.